Progress, episode 20. Our 20th guest is Jennifer Eaton. She is one of my best friends. I've known her since I was a child. We have shared a ton of experiences together, that being football, work, school, you name it. And here's us sitting down talking about it for a good 2 hours. So stay tuned and thanks for listening to Currently in Progress. Slightly.
My car's not gonna get stuck over there, is it?
I hope not.
Jesus.
It shouldn't. I mean, my car doesn't get stuck.
Okay.
Mine's just a little guy. Okay.
This thing?
Yeah.
It's not a little guy.
It's a terrain.
It's like a
It's a mom van.
Go from the Kia to the Impala to a mom van.
Yeah, I was almost out of, scrutiny. And then I got right back in. And it's white. It's not even like a cool color.
I know, I was like, oh, did Amy get a new car?
Exactly. Exactly. Did Amy get a new car? Amy did get a new car. She got a burgundy Jeep.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we want to buy your new vehicle. And then she's like, oh, well, what are you going to give me for it? And then she's like, well, we'll trade you in for a brand new one. And we're like, oh.
Like a Jeep what?
Wrangler.
Ooh.
2021 or 2020.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a brand new one. She leases and then she just keeps redoing them. But yeah, it's like burgundy, like maroon with like black rims.
Oh, snap.
It's like decked out.
Snap.
But no, I literally just wanted to copy Ian on the whole GMC thing, so that's what I did. Had it towed the other day.
Why?
Guess it because something broke.
Oh.
I don't know exactly, but they fixed it because it was covered. But the tow guy was literally first thing he said. He's like, most thing I tow, or like most things I have to come and tow, GMC terrains.
No.
And I was like, that is such a shitty thing to tell someone.
Why would you tell me that?
Yeah, you could have just said, oh, I never tow these things.
Yeah.
Like, please, that's what I want to hear, bro.
God.
Yeah, no. It's crazy. Okay, we are recording too, so we're already in deep. That was our little intro. This is Currently in Progress with Jennifer Eaton as she cheers for herself.
Round of applause. You need a clap button.
I do. I need a studio audience. All we can hear in the background are the Amish as their horses clop by. We are in Amish country, by the way. We're outside on my porch having this podcast. And Jen got scared that her Impala was going to get stuck in my driveway.
Well, the wheels were spinning, so I was a little nervous.
So what have you been up to? You just came from grad school, right?
Just came from work, actually.
Work?
Yeah.
Where do you work?
I'm at Pleasant Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
CMU, technically, I guess. A grad assistant at CMU.
Doing, like, is that the teaching portion?
Yeah, well, the teaching portion, I'm a teaching assistant and then also a graduate assistant for, like, sports analytics. So, Dr. Blue, that guy that you did the workout stuff with, I'm his GA and TA, so, like, we do research and stuff for research assistant. Like, one of the studies we're doing right now is on, like, what city is, like, a championship city in sports. So, like, in that, like, how Detroit has 4. NHL, NBA, MLB, and NFL.
Yep.
They get extra points. And
because
then
they have multiple teams.
And then if they win, they get like a certain amount of, like if they win the Super Bowl, never happened obviously, but if they win the Super Bowl, they get 32 points because there's 32 NFL teams. And then the team that gets second, like the team that loses the Super Bowl, gets 31 points, and you keep going down. And then you do that for all the leagues.
So is it just a big math? Obviously, there's more variables than just that. So it's just a big math.
Basically.
Data calculation stuff.
Which is funny, because I got kicked out of advanced math in 7th grade, so...
Why, for talking too much?
No, I just... The teacher shall remain nameless told my parents that I was... shoes were... Well, they were worried that I was falling behind, so...
In advanced math?
And now look at it.
You know what's funny is that I stayed in that class.
Exactly, and now look at us.
Well, damn, that's just throw me under the bus. Now look at us. I'm this and you're that. No, yeah, but no, advanced. I know which teacher you're talking about now, too. Our next teacher, not that you would know, but was Miss Wagner.
Yeah.
And she had to move me multiple occasions because I would talk to whoever was sitting next to me.
I feel like that's because that class was like all of our friend group.
Oh, yeah.
And it was awful.
Yeah.
Like,
well, in the advanced part in 7th grade wasn't very advanced.
yeah. Okay, thanks, Nate.
Well, no. Sorry, that was you shot me, I'm shooting back. But like it was mainly a problem because we just got too unfocused and we're like, well, we can still pass this and talk. The teacher didn't really realize that that's how kids work. If you can get away with stuff, you do. And it was fun. I remember I sat next to Ryan Metzger.
oh, God.
She purposefully put me next to him. And guess what? She was purposefully wrong.
She messed up.
She messed up hard because once I figured out how to get the kid that had no volume modulator whatsoever to talk, it was over.
Game over.
Ryan Metzger and me were talking about COD as loud as possible in the far corner. I got that kid telling me all the specs of guns, everything. I learned so much about COD COD. Dude, video games.
Oh my God.
Video games, you had to. And that was the one thing I knew that kid would talk about. So I was like, okay, we're good. Video games.
You pinpointed something and you took advantage of it.
I did. I was semi-knowledgeable in the situation, and I knew that if I could get him to keep talking, that maybe I could prove that I wasn't the problem. And now here we are around the microphone where I get to talk.
Just nonstop. Just have your own talk show, basically.
Dude, it's been fun. It's been fun. So, data collection.
Yep.
Teaching.
Yep.
Well, okay, so that's not teaching. That's the researching.
Yep.
So, like the teaching.
Yep.
What classes do you teach?
I help teach right now the sports analytics class. It's
Makes sense.
yeah.
And then you
basically.
so when I had GAs, because that's what you are, right? GA.
Yep.
So like you take over part of the class, and then
Yep.
you're just like, yeah, I'm the teacher now, and then I got this.
Yep. Basically.
Is that fun?
Yeah, I like it. I didn't think this was something that I wanted to do, but now it's like all I want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like helping the students, obviously. And the summer's off and Christmas break off and basically
All the college breaks off.
Yeah, get to set your own schedule. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But I would have to, if I want to, obviously teach at, a D1 university like CMU, I would have to go back and get my doctorate after this, which is another, 4 to 6 years.
Do you have to do that?
If you want to, if I want to eventually end up getting, tenure and stuff, you have to have your doctorate, basically.
But that's just to get tenure. You don't have to be. You don't have to be that to be a professor.
Next year, I'm going to be it's called a adjunct professor, and that's basically kind of like a part-time professor.
Yeah, like an on the side, yeah.
But they can also basically get rid of me at any point. So that kind of if enrollment drops anymore, or if they don't have enough classes or whatever, I'm basically at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to be at the bottom of the barrel at some point.
Yeah, start somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Adam George, who I also podcasted with, was a professor. He was a GA when I was going through the process, going through college. And then by the time, so I had him for one class my sophomore year. By the time I was a senior, he was teaching my senior classes, which was dope.
Yeah.
And that's how I know that you don't need a doctorate, because he was telling me about, he's like, all the other professors are kind of pushing me to get my doctorate. And he's like, I kind of want to give it a little time first.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to have my fun, at least get settled into the whole teaching role, and then figure it out.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because now it's kind of weird how shit circles back, because I didn't know, I knew that you were being a GA and everything, but I didn't know the professor part was that, okay, I kind of want to be a professor, legitly. So it's kind of cool that I've already talked to someone that has done that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think CMU sports management, the sport management program itself is kind of close knit.
Yeah.
I guess the professors all you have them more than once, And then like a lot of them teach master's classes too. So it's just like you've been around these people for so long, and like all the sports management professors have like helped me with like whatever I needed, given me a letter of recommendation. Like my job at Parks and Rec is because one of my professors works there.
Was it Dan? Oh no, not Dan.
It was Ryan Longoria.
Gotcha.
He's like an adjunct professor, which is what I'm going to be next year.
Yep.
And then Dan Ballou, like he's like one of my best friends now. So yeah, just I feel like if I've always said like if I could provide something like those professors have provided me for somebody else, I feel like that'd be awesome.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Dan, we'll talk about him for a minute. So the reason I know Dan is because in my exercise science class, I had to have a client. I had to like train someone right prior to COVID happening. So like literally middle of the semester, COVID hit. So I'm sitting here and first time ever like training a client twice a week, and I got Dan, who demographic wise I think 60s.
I think he's 50.
50,
yeah.
older male. I mean,
super athletic. Like he rides his bike like 60 miles a day.
Yeah. Like he does his stuff. The first thing I remember, and this is literally the only thing that I thought he needed work on, was we did the sit and reach test. Something super, super simple that I never thought would ever relate to anything, like being a huge factor in my workout plan. We did the sit and reach test, which is you put your feet out, and then you just reach as far as you can out in front of you, and there's a ruler in it. You show how far you get. I told him to go. He went. And then I told him to go again because I didn't think he went. And I then felt super bad.
Oh, no.
And he looked at me, he's like, yeah, that's all I got. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Relax. We'll do it again here in a couple minutes, 30 seconds, whatever the protocol was. We did it again. He got another inch. Okay, I was like, oh, you improved. He went from 3 inches to 4. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, like this guy just told me that he does all these things and his sit and reach test is 4 inches. I was like, this dude has some trouble picking stuff up off the ground. Like, that's definitely an issue. Like, and he knew that was an issue. That was what's cool, because he did that and he immediately looked at me. He's like, I know that this is not good.
Yeah.
And I was like, perfect. I was like, if you know that and I know that, then I don't feel bad about having half our workout be stretching.
Yeah.
So we did that for the first half, where the half an hour we were with each other for an hour, twice a week. And the first half hour was just strength stuff, typical like 3 sets of 10, shoulders, whatever. We were doing legs, whatever. And then the second half an hour was legitimately however I could put this guy in the hardest stretches that would do, not hard, but like I had one where it was like pretty much a Jefferson curl, which you stand up on something, you hold something slightly heavier than what you are, and you just round your back like a mother and slowly just, hold it and stretch. I mean, all you're doing is getting pulled down to touch your toes. So we did that like slow, like 30 second of him just dropping slower and slow. I was like, hey, just breathe out real quick. And then he would breathe out and all of a sudden get a little lower. And then I was like, okay, deep breath. A little lower, and then he would go back up, and I was like, okay, give it a second. All the blood's probably rushing to your head because we've been sitting upside down for 40 seconds, a minute, and then he'd stand back up. And the coolest thing was at the end of that like semester, he was like, dude, picking stuff off the ground, amazing. Riding my bike, amazing. Lower back, amazing. He's like, all I needed to do was stretch, and I thought that was the stupidest thing ever.
God.
And I was like, yeah, dude, like, isn't that weird how that works? But it was awesome. I enjoyed working with him. He was funny. He coached football over in Texas, like some state down south. New Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay. So he coached football there, and the instant he started talking about football, it was over.
Yeah.
We were talking about offense, talking about defense. What did you run? What did we run? Like, he was just giving me everything, and I was like, dude, this guy actually knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool.
He's super cool. That's funny that you mentioned, like, that bending over.
Yeah.
Because literally yesterday I was in his office, and he just moved to, like, a new house.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how his counters and everything in his sink, like, he has to have, like, up here because he doesn't like going down and reaching for stuff. So it's funny. She just brought that up.
I need my countertops higher.
And like,
he's a tall guy.
Is he
like 6'4", 6'3"?
I don't know. He's over 6 foot, I think.
Yeah.
It's funny though because like what are the odds that he was your trainer guy?
Yeah.
And now like because when you I think we were on spring break when I was like, well, what professor are you doing it with?
Yeah, because we were at Disney.
And you were like, it's a sport management professor. I was like, what's his name? And you're like, Dan Blue. I was like, no shit.
Yeah. It's like, that's the guy I hang out with all the time. And then didn't you tell him that you knew me after that?
Because obviously with COVID we had to start like that like semester was all online. And I remember like he sent us on like a break or something on the first day of class, and I got back on my computer and I was like, Dr. Blue, I was like, you did like a training thing with a kid named Nate O'Brien? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, he's like my best friend. He's like, no way.
Yeah.
He's like, that's so cool. He's like, yeah, that dude was cool. I was like, oh my god.
Good. That's what I like to hear. No, and it was definitely, it was my first experience actually coaching like all the control, like doing everything, and it was sweet just to see the progress. Like, and then halfway, like you said, COVID, we went to online, and like that, I mean, the scalability of making money off personal training online is awesome. Yeah. But like, the whole point of personal training is to like personally train him and like do this, and here's a video of me doing it. Yeah. Do it exactly like I do it and know all the stuff and reasons I'm doing it. Like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, I don't know. It was definitely a weird time, and then there was obviously miscommunication. There was like points where he was just like, I don't even know what this is. And the video I don't think I can do that. And I'm like, come on, Dan. Come on, Dan. Just give it a shot. I feel like you can.
Work with me here.
And, but yeah, like you're trying to do new things and like teach the guy something. It's like, well, you can only teach him so much through video, and it was a pain in the butt, but it was he made it easy for sure. Okay. Speaking of Walt Disney, let's talk about that for a second, because that was awesome. And oddly enough, I'm wearing the sweatshirt, and you're wearing that. Yeah. I
got this on this last week.
The last trip. So what was different about this trip that you just took rather than the one we took?
I don't know. I noticed that we missed a lot when we went to Star Wars World. I don't know. I feel like you were sick that day, or you didn't feel good that day when we went to Hollywood Studios.
Was it later in the trip?
Yeah.
Yeah, then yeah. Because the last day, I wanted to kill someone. My throat was gone. I couldn't even swallow.
And you were like so bad because I wanted to stay for the castle fireworks or whatever.
Yeah, and that was amazing. I'm glad you made me stay for it, but I wanted to kill you.
It was supposed to be at 8, and they must have like switched their hours or something, and it was at 9. And I remember I looked at the app. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, bad news. And you were like, what? I was like, the fireworks aren't till 9. You're like, are you kidding me? You're like, I'm not staying here till 9. Because we got there at like 11.
Oh, we got there early. And like, that was all day. Like, I was getting tired.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're eating. Can't even swallow.
We had to fly out at like 5 the next morning.
Yeah. So we're just getting pissed. I was pissed. I remember the whole flight home. I didn't have headphones, and I'm sitting there. I'm like thinking I have strep or the start of COVID, and I'm like, I didn't even know about COVID at the point.
Exactly.
Like literally, yeah, it wasn't even a thing.
I thought about that like when I was at Disney this past week. I was like, when we were last here, like, masks weren't a thing.
Yup.
Like, they had like maybe like 1 or 2 extra hand sanitizer things out, but that was it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even that big of a deal. And then literally the week that we get back, like,
shut down.
Everything shut down, lockdown.
Yeah. And I'm positive now after the fact that it was strep in comparison to COVID, because I've had COVID, but like, it was still horrible. Yeah. Like, my throat, like the whole ride home, because I'm pretty sure. Did you drive to Detroit? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I was like, I would help you drive, but I'm about to be passed the fuck out.
I feel like garbage.
Yeah. But no, that was definitely fun. And I'll tell you what, one of my other favorites was Harry Potter. What did we miss at Star Wars then? Like
the place where I got the lightsaber or whatever, there's like this whole like lightsaber shop.
Okay, we definitely
legacy lightsabers where like they have Luke and Leia's and like Kylo Ren's and all those, like the dark saber obviously.
Are we maybe I didn't see that. I don't know. We definitely did see. Were they selling like the tunics and stuff there?
No. It's
Oh,
just
well then,
yeah.
I did see the tunics. I know that because I wanted
those
one.
little shop. I know what you're talking about. Like the little shops, like in the like the village area.
The very before you hit the Star Wars stuff. No, the only thing that makes me mad about Disney Star Wars is that there's a lot less prior than Disney Star Wars, and that's no offense, but that's where your money is, man.
Exactly, and like before I went, I was trying to like get what to do and stuff, and like know where everything is, because last time we weren't there for that long, but like a bunch of people are mad that it's just like the sequels and stuff, and like nothing from.
They don't even have walking around Luke. I mean, you have
it's
Darth Vader,
Chewie,
but
basically from like and like technically he's in the sequels too, but
exactly.
I mean,
it's a cop out.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot more popular if they had stuff from the the prequels and the original. Yeah,
for sure. It'd be way better because then, I mean, the other thing about Disney that not rub me the wrong way, but like. If I don't have kids, or at least a large group of people, I would rather not go to that's a lot. I mean, not that I had to spend the money with you, but that would be a lot of money to spend on just to go with you and one other person. Like I'm about to share this with a lot of people if I'm going, or I better have some kids that are going to be amazed by everything we do.
I know, like just seeing like the little kids, like they still think like Mickey is Mickey. And, like, Pooh Bear is actually Winnie the Pooh, and it's so like cool to see that.
Like they enjoy it way more than we do, because I mean we can obviously see the difference, but like
it's not Winnie the Pooh standing right there.
That shit's a TV show. We don't know what that guy looks like in there, and we don't know what he does on his free time. I wouldn't put too much faith in him.
When I remember you got so mad too because I wanted a picture with Pooh and Tigger. And we had to wait in line, and you were getting so mad. And then when I got the picture, like I think it was Tigger. Tigger
get fucking with you,
and he made this kissing noise. I was like, okay, let's get out of here. I don't know if I like this anymore. Tigger's
getting a little too close. I don't know what Tigger's trying to do over here, but. And I'll be the photographer any day of the week.
Yeah.
That shit's funny to me. I'll sit behind the camera. I don't got to be in it. Because that was my goal the whole entire trip. I was like, I will be behind this shit, and I'll be out of the pictures, and we'll be good. Harry Potter, though, that world, that ride, the one that you had to like wait forever to go in.
In the castle?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Oh, the bank.
The bank was good, but I like the castle better.
Yeah.
The castle where you're like strapped in and then like a Dementor is like right in your face.
Yeah, that's the castle one.
Like I thought I could grab it. Kind of pissed I didn't. Because it was right there. Like you definitely could do something with that.
When we started that, they like took you. Didn't they like take you above the castle? Like it looked like you were flying above the castle or the woods or something.
Oh yeah.
I remember I tried to pick my feet up because I thought the trees were like actually underneath me. Like it looked, I was like, whoa, this is kind of a mind blow.
Whoa, my ankle.
But no, I think the Harry Potter world was definitely one of the cooler ones.
Speaking of trippiness, that one other Space Mountain, that shit's scary as fuck. If you're in Space Mountain, I tell you what, all you feel is the fact that you're in a roller coaster because you can't see a damn thing.
And you know that's not even the fastest one, like at Disney World.
Oh, I don't care about speed.
But it feels like it's so fast.
That's because you can't see anything.
It's dark and it's just inside.
And what's crazy is you see some lights flickering every once in a while, and then all of a sudden you kind of make out what's really close to you being like metal beams. And like, man, if I was 6'2", 6'3", would my head get like just chopped off? Like, what? That's what I was thinking the other time. I was like tucking my chin. I was trying to get as low as the seat was. I was like, this is stupid. Like, I'm so scared.
Yeah, that one, the other one that we went on, the Big Thunder Mountain or whatever, like the Wild Wild West, like that one's faster than Space Mountain. Oh, and I couldn't believe that.
Oh yeah, because that one felt like a kid's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only part that got you is when it turned around and went backwards. Yeah. I was like, whoa. I don't like seeing where I'm not going.
Yeah, but no, if you like Avatar, the Pandora world or whatever, Pandora, so cool. Like visually.
And there's like shit floating?
Yeah.
Like how do they do it though? Do you know? Could you tell?
I don't know.
But there was legit, like,
and
islands
like
floating.
the plants and everything, like
Were
it's
different?
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
I do like the transition areas before, and like all the shops and stuff, because that's pretty sweet to look at.
Yeah.
Like actually getting, I mean, obviously it's just a cash grab, and like it's so nostalgic that you're like, oh, I can't go without this Goofy sticker. Yeah.
Goofy sticker.
I want to put that on my bus. Like, I don't know. It's freaking no, Disney World is amazing.
It's nostalgic though. Like,
Yeah.
like you just said, like when we were watching the parade that one time, I was like, damn. It like almost got to me.
Yeah.
And,
Like you almost want to cry.
And like the fireworks show too, like at the sad slow music parts, I was like, shit.
Yeah, like I remember when I watched this movie, came with this audio the first time.
Yeah.
Like Mufasa died in this. Like I cried.
I sobbed my eyes out.
And then the way the castle legit changes, like it goes from being a normal gray stone castle to whatever, like tart like vines or like Mulan red and gold accents, like whatever. It just immediately changes, and you're like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Like what has technology gotten to? And then Tinkerbell just comes in on a zip
out
line.
of the wire, yeah.
It's like, imagine being Tinkerbell in that situation. Like you're looking down, like these people love me. I'm about to grant all their wishes.
This is my Disney World.
She would have to feel that way.
100%. I'd be afraid to fall though, honestly. There's no way.
It's a zip line.
Oh my
She's strapped in because she's like moving her hands and shit.
Until something goes wrong.
Well, then she just flies for real.
She's Tinkerbell. So she can fly.
Exactly. All the kids would be in for
you
a whole
imagine?
Yeah, kids would be like, "Oh my God, Dad, I thought she could fly." Splat! Like, oh, this turned into a real bad movie.
This is rough.
Disney gets sued for moral, or what is that?
Mental anguish.
Yeah,
Whatever it would be.
mental anguish. My kids are actually scarred for life now.
Oh my God, you would be too. Oh my God.
Imagine if she landed like right on the fountain.
Oh, okay. No.
For everyone to see.
Let's not imagine that.
Kids are just screaming.
God.
That sounds horrible, but it hopefully never happens.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And fingers crossed all the families get properly compensated
Oh,
if it did happen. Including Tinkerbell's. Her family requires compensation
It's
too.
more compensation.
Yeah. We don't know who she is, but we'll find out one day. Maybe I'll podcast with her.
Oh my God.
Hey, just me running. I want to do a podcast. Okay, let's talk about this. What would it be like to work at Disneyland? Because I remember you and me walking through. It was somewhere in Star Wars thing, and it was like a bunch of artwork on one side, and then there was a chick there, and then she's like, oh, you can go into the next little showing when it gets done, but it was like half-hour showings. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It was like movies or something, and we were like really early, so we were just chilling there waiting. And I thought to myself, like, what kind of questions does this chick get asked on a constant
And
basis?
like, can you imagine being like a character?
Yeah.
Like, I've heard like horror stories of like princesses like getting their butts slapped and crap by like dads, and like getting proposed to by people. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah, could you act like, but would you take the proposal seriously? Like, obviously not. But like, what if they did? Like, is that the
Exactly, that's what I'm
situation?
saying.
Oh,
Yeah,
they do?
they're,
Okay.
Like, for real. Like, they want to propose to Cinderella.
Oh.
Like, weird people.
That's when the fantasy goes a little bit too far.
I think it would be rough. I don't know. Stephanie Peterson worked there. She did the Disney College program or whatever it is Essential does. I've never like asked her about it, but
Do you know what she did?
I know she worked at Animal Kingdom, but I don't know like what she did there. I know it would be like, cause like at Disney World the customer is always right. So I feel like that would be rough. Like that part of it would be. You just have to like agree with them and give them whatever they wanted. I feel like.
Okay, but does that work for getting proposed to?
No,
I don't know. The customer's always right.
So.
Guess I'm gonna go home with this dude today.
I meant like in stores and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Like
in the retail.
Yeah.
I didn't know what we go from that to that, Jen. You sounded like you were on the guy's side.
No, I'm not. Never on the guy's side.
Okay, so retail.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get into it.
Get down and dirty with
You
retail.
worked at Yonkers while I
Yeah.
worked at Dunham's. You know, good old 20 yards away from each other.
God.
And we obviously had different experiences being Yonkers and Dunham's. But what's a funny story from Yonkers?
I don't know. I will say that I liked working at Yonkers better than I liked working at Dunham.
Okay, why is that though?
And that's like, you would think it'd be the total opposite because I'm such a sports nut, but I hated Dunham. Like, I was so boring.
Oh yeah, it is.
And like, I guess I didn't work there that much though, so I didn't really get close with anybody but you, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and at Yonkers, like, I loved all the people that I worked with, so I feel like that helped.
Oh yeah.
But crazy stories.
Uh-oh.
I was like brand new at this point. Like, it was probably the week I started, and I was working in the like lingerie. Well, it wasn't lingerie, but like the accessory department, which was like with the underwear and the bras and everything. This old lady like came up to me at the register, pulls her shirt up, and asks me where to find this bra. Like in the middle of the store. Just pulls her shirt up and she's like, "Do you know where this bra is?"
Madam, it's right there.
And I was like, "Oh, wow, wait a second." And I'm like this young, shy Jen. I'm like, I don't know. I'll ask a manager.
Yeah, because what are you gonna do? Go up to the manager, hey,
Do you know where this lady's bra is?
yeah, she'll show you. Don't worry. Just go ask her.
Oh my God.
Then your manager's like, well, now I see why you asked me.
God, I don't.
At Midland Dunham's, there was a guy that would come in there and he would try on women's leggings. And then he would come out and ask his wife, who I don't know, I think it was a cover-up,
Oh God.
would ask his wife, like, if they fit him good. And the funny part was that he never knew where his wife was. So he would walk around the store in women's leggings looking for his wife to ask if they looked okay.
Did he ever find her?
Oh, well, no, because sometimes he would ask us.
Oh God.
And then it was just very uncomfortable. And you really didn't know what to say. And you couldn't look him in the eye because you could see his dick pretty much.
Oh my God.
But, like, it was just there. It was just an imprint. Like, I'm like, those are too tight, sir. Like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what track sport you're trying to run here, but definitely not your size
Oh my God.
if your intention is to go out in public like this.
I don't even know what I would do at that point.
It was hilarious because he would only ask the women.
Yeah.
Because he didn't care about a guy's opinion, and I was, feel free.
Fine with
Yeah,
that.
I was good. I was like, I'll stick 20 feet away. But yeah, no, Dunham's Midland was way creepier than Mount Pleasant. Nothing really weird happens at Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
Midland, everything. I had a lady return New Balance shoes, and I asked what was the reason for the return. She said, I didn't get them to him in time. Her husband died.
Oh no.
Her husband died. She bought him new shoes before she could even take them to him. She was dead. Yeah. So then she comes to return them, and that's what she says. And you've obviously been at Dunham's.
Yeah.
The next thing you do is, what's your first name? What's your last name? What's your address? What's all these 50 questions? And I typed in at that point, I was like 111
Oh my
John Doe, making shit up. And I was like, if any manager asks me about this, I will tell them exactly what happened, and they will tell me good job.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I was like, the lady was sobbing.
There's no way.
I'm like, I just want her money to be in my hand and gone. Like, get her out of here. She's been through enough shit.
Wow.
Yeah, retail is a fun experience.
I remember one of the more like wholesome moments. Like I was having like a bad day, obviously, because it's retail. Most days are bad days. And this older lady came in and she had like a cane, and she was checking out. And she started telling me about and I had to like help her like go grab some stuff, and she was telling me about how like a couple months ago she had a stroke. but now she's like getting better in rehab and stuff. And like her husband called her like on the phone when I was checking her out, and I could hear him over the phone. He's like, "I'm just making sure you're doing okay in there." And she's like, "Yep, I'm fine." And she hung up. She's like, "I told him I didn't want him to call about me or call or ask about me or come help me. I can do it myself." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Good for you." But that was super cute.
Yeah, the fact that she could go out and do her own shit. No, was that at Dunham's or Yonkers? Yonkers.
Yeah.
Of course it was. Once again, no wholesome moments from Dunham's, people. Honestly, I tell you what, I don't know. Dunham's is, the people I work with there now are pretty dope.
Yeah.
It is very weird. I talked to people about this the other day. I am the third oldest person that works there.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the other two are 26 and 27.
Oh, God.
And they're like TCs.
It's so weird to me that you're like the store manager now because like obviously like every store manager I've ever had has been like 40.
Yeah.
So it's so weird.
Yeah, it's super weird for me to be the manager too. You're telling me. I had Vicky, one of my managers. We were loading a ping pong table, and she paged me back there. And she's like, "Well, he can help us lift it, blah, blah, blah." Mm-hmm. And then the guy that she was with asked her, she's like, "Oh, is that the guy that was here with us earlier?" She's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh." The guy said, "Oh, that's your GM?" And she's like, "Yeah." And immediately, it was just like 50 questions, she said, that he just started asking her, like how old is he? What does he do? Like, how does he do this? Like, what happened? Like, who left quick?
Yeah.
Like what? And
is he just a fill-in, or?
Yeah. Like, what's going on? So then I come out there, and Vicky already told me that he asked, so I was like, I'm prepared. I'm like, this guy's totally gonna ask me how old I am, all this other stuff. So I get out there. First thing, he looks at me square in the face, and this guy was funny. Like, he was like, "You knew this is the type of dude." Like, he bought a ping pong table and he strapped it on top of his Equinox. Like, bro, this dude, he's crazy. He's like, we only have a straight line. We don't have any turns. Oh, and I was like, I hope so. I was like, you wouldn't make too many. But first question was, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 24. He's like, did you go to college? I was like, yeah. He's like, I graduated. He's like, with what? I was like, exercise science. And then every time I say that, everyone's like, wait, what? And I'm like, what do you do exercise science. And then he's like, oh, so you know how to work out? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm pretty good at working out. And then and then I was like, that's why I'm here to help you with the ping pong table. And then he's like, well, how did you get this position? I was like, well, I quit, and then I came back, and they're like, well, you need to be the GM now. And I was like, he's like, really? I was like, he's like, you quit and then came back to a promotion? I was like, I came back to 2 actually. And he looked at me, he's like, you must know what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, I got a lot of answers to your questions, don't I? And he's like, yeah, you were pretty quick on the dot there. And then he's like, how did you know that? I was like, she told me that you were going to ask me these questions. So I was prepared. And it was just funny. It was the fact that he like looked at me and it was immediately assuming like, he just works here. Yeah. He's not like the guy that runs it. Mm-hmm. And now it's awesome because I can't wait to pull that, like, I want to talk to your manager. And then one of my managers is like, well, the GM is here. And then I walk up. And then they're like, wait, this is your fucking GM? Like, this dude has hair down to his fucking past his shoulders and tattoos all over. How is he? And he looks like he's 12. He looks like he's straight out of high school. I don't know, maybe juvenile detention with all the tattoos, but it's a trip.
It is.
It's a super trip. Yeah. I was talking to Vicky once again the other day, and the first time that she started, I was one of the managers, and I purposefully, and we know, like, you were there back at Midland. This is a real good trip, but like, you wouldn't talk to newbies. Yeah. You just don't. Like, if they make it past the first week of no talking, they're kind of cool. They obviously have some ability to sustain something. So I just wouldn't talk to her on purpose. And she thought I was a dick. And, rightfully so.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So she started talking to Austin Bierspach, also from Beaverton. Uh-huh. She talked to him one night, and she's like, yeah, I don't think I like Nate. He seems kind of like a douchebag. He seems like he probably is a womanizer and all these other things. And I was like, cool. I was like, yeah, I'm glad you think that. And God. Austin literally couldn't hold back his laughter. He literally just died. She said, and Vicky was like asking him like, "What are you laughing about?" And she's like, "If you only knew." He's like, "That kid is a fucking nerd." like you can't like he's like he hasn't had a girlfriend ever in his life, and he's a nerd. Like everything you're saying right now is completely not true. And she literally just had an epiphany. She's like, no way, like blah blah. And I'm like, and then she talked to me about it, and I was like, yeah, you were wrong.
It was initiation.
It was I like that. You always got to go through the initiation.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, work being a GM for the past 2 months now, officially. Mm-hmm. Oh, I tell you what, just managing people is the only hard part.
Yeah.
Literally it. Dealing with people and making sure everyone's happy within the workspace, not customers. Customers are easy because you know how to that's easy. But the kids, I mean, they're kids.
Especially college kids.
Yeah, they're all kids. Mm-hmm. Like one of my best managers, 19.
Oh my god.
19.
Yeah.
This kid is 19. He asked me some questions, and I'm like, yeah, you're 19. I'm like, that question doesn't even need to be answered. Like, don't ask that, please. And they roast me constantly.
That's awesome.
Oh, and I laugh with them. I'm like, that was a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, fair.
Appreciate
I was like, I'll take it. I'll take the heat. I was like, you better not feel bad when I do it to you, though. You better not call HR. I'll tell you what. I'm glad this is funny. I was hoping this one would be just comedy gold.
Straight out.
Yeah. What were some... Okay, so if Dunham's was such a shitty time, tell me just one crappy story from Dunham's.
I don't know.
There's got to be something, Jen. You can't... No cards on the table here. Because you worked at Midland and Mount Pleasant, didn't you?
I hated Midland more than I hated Mount Pleasant. I didn't like Midland at all.
Oh, well, yeah. No,
Yeah.
Midland sucked.
Yeah.
I was with you on that one. Wait, so you and me would have... Did we transfer over at the same time then?
It was...
Or relatively close? I thought it was...
right around the same time, because I feel like when Yonkers closed, I worked at Dunham's for like a week or two, and then college started, so then I moved to Mount Pleasant Dunham's.
Okay.
Because it was right, because Chris had moved to
Yep.
Mount Pleasant too, and then you had moved to Mount Pleasant. Well, I was like, well, shit, I'm just going to go to Mount Pleasant
Yeah.
too. Because, like, I hate it in Midland. Maybe it'll be better in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be easier. And obviously if the two other people that were actually cool,
Yeah.
transferred over.
I will say the one Black Friday that I worked at the Mount Pleasant Dunham's, I had to stay at your apartment, or I
Yep.
stayed at your apartment like Thanksgiving night, and then we had to go back at like 7 on Friday
Yep.
or something. And I remember Chris was like standing in between two cashiers, and he like had bags in his pocket, and he was like helping bag. I was like, well, shit, he's kind of cool. I was like, you would never see like another GM standing out here helping bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a 6'4"
And he's a
bald.
jock,
Yeah,
exactly.
he's a big old jock out here
Burly
just
guy.
bagging, ready to go. Like, whoever needs help, I got you. And no, that was definitely how Chris was. It was. It didn't matter what was needed in the store. You just do it.
Yeah.
And no, Black Fridays were always. They're a lot better now because we don't have to be open on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanks, COVID.
And the people that come in on Thanksgiving, they're like,
Bitches.
oh my god, I can't believe you have to work. Like this, leave the fucking store
Yeah,
then. Why are you here?
Don't be shopping.
Exactly.
You are the part of the problem, people.
God.
No, but that was honestly one good thing that did come out of COVID is the fact that we don't have to work Thanksgiving anymore. And that, I think, is consistently, like, the reason we didn't have to do it this year is because Dick's and all those other big-name companies don't do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we don't have to compete with them on this day,
Yeah.
so, like, we don't have to do it either. Because if you did, we would all just, like, be dipping anyway. Because, like, working on Thanksgiving was so shitty.
Exactly.
Like, being there at 6 o'clock, like, 6 o'clock Thanksgiving is dinner.
Yeah.
Like, that's dinner and football. Like, you're literally intruding on a holiday.
Exactly.
And you already gave that day a holiday.
Yeah.
Like, now you're giving
It's
it two.
Black Friday, now we got Thanksgiving and Black Friday.
Yeah, you don't need that.
I remember at Yonkers last year it was open. They were trying to like not go bankrupt, and so they were open from like 10 a.m. on Thanksgiving, and they just never closed.
Closed, yep.
In Ashton, I remember had to work like 10 a.m. Thanksgiving to 5 or something,
Yep.
Thanksgiving night, and then come back at like midnight.
Yep.
And
Do it
then
again.
and work till like 8, like work all night. I was
Oh
like,
yeah. 2 night shifts.
That's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yep.
I could not believe that. I just worked the night. I worked like midnight to 8 a.m. I think. And like there was nobody in the store.
No.
And I had like my Santa slippers on and everything.
Just chilling,
and
walking
I had
around.
like an elf hat on because I was like all Christmassy. And you could hear me from like the other side of the store because my slippers had little bells on.
You would do that.
Yeah.
Like, I want everyone to know that I'm on my way. I like that when my keys jingle. Like when someone pages me and I kind of don't go for a minute. And then I know I jingle my keys on purpose, so then they know at least I'm coming around the corner.
He's making his way over.
And they don't page me like 5 more times, like, Nate, to the gun counter, please.
Oh my God. I used to hate that when I'd be like, manager to main, and nobody would freaking come. And you got the customer standing right there, like, and they kept like looking at their watch, and so I'm like, manager to main, please. Oh my God.
I kind of found a loophole around that.
Uh-oh.
Chris, once again, taught me how to do some stuff. And I can make anyone have override ability.
No!
So, like, if my TCs prove, like they obviously have to be unregistered, too. And I'm like, if you kind of know what a return is,
Yeah.
and you know not to do one, you know, and if you need me to say no, then just
Yeah.
have me say no. But, like, if you know that's good, just do it.
Exactly.
So then I got that down. So now we barely have any manager calls. And I'm like, this is, like, cush. I'm like, that just took out all my walking for the day.
You're not going to get any steps
Yeah.
now.
I was at, like, 10K a day.
Oh my God.
I don't know, but, I mean, it seems like a lot. I come home and my mom gets pissed when I take off my shoes.
Oh, God.
It's
Poor Amy.
Oh, she
Oh
hates
my
it.
God.
She hates it. She's like, you need to spray those fuckers down. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
You should put, I think it's baby powder works really well. I
Yeah?
think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Put baby powder in those bitches' names.
I get home, I just take off my boots, I look at my mom like, hey,
Yeah.
I solved the problem today. Just pouring that, and she looks at me like, what the fuck is he doing? She tells me it's baking soda. I was like, Jen, you fucking liar.
I should have just told you something just way off the rails.
It would have worked.
Put salsa in your shoes.
Tomato juice, actually. I heard those were good for skunks.
Oh my God.
I feel like that should transition well to your shoes.
No, I remember this was like a couple months ago. I had to get taxis. I had to get hand warmers for our 5K race at Parks and Rec, so I went to Dunham's. And I was like, it's tax exempt, and like they didn't know what to do, and so they called the manager, and so then he got on his phone, on his cell phone, and he's talking to somebody, and it was you on the phone, and he's like, okay, and I was like, do I ask if it's Nina?
Yeah, do
Do I
it.
ask it? I was
Did
like,
you?
Nah,
No?
I didn't ask. And so then, like he checked me out or whatever, and I got out of my car, and I texted you. I was like, was that you on the phone?
It's like, yup, that was me.
Yeah.
I get those calls constantly. I didn't realize that would be happening, but you know, part of the job.
Part of being the boss.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly didn't know how much it happened until it happened.
Yeah.
And then, like, because I would call Chris occasionally. Like, very, very, like, I know what Chris is doing right now, and I don't need to interrupt him.
Yeah.
Like, he's got kids, he's gonna drink a beer. Like, I don't need to, you know, if he's doing his thing, I don't need to bother him. And there was times where I would just handle all my situations, and, like, no one would ever, like, it never came back up. So clearly I didn't mess up, you know? Clearly something didn't go wrong.
Yeah.
And then if it did, Chris would just be like, hey, you did this wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, what do I do wrong? Like, how do I fix it? He's like, don't do what you did. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, a lot of, you know, good learning lesson there. And that right there was how I somehow became a manager, a GM. Was, you know, getting told to fix it, and then going on a whim and maybe somehow fixing it.
Got lucky.
So, have you ever watched Rick and Morty?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Dang it. So, one of my friends made this super fun, it was Austin, super fun analogy. So, there's a part in Rick and Morty. The dad in Rick and Morty, Jerry, is like very not self-sufficient whatsoever. Just, does his own thing and somehow works. There's a part where there's like this big war breaking out, and he was at work, and he had to get back home, and he didn't have a car. And it was like a war, like legit, like fighting and stuff, and like gunfire or whatever. And he literally gets out of his cubicle and like just starts crawling. And there's just a montage of him just randomly in the middle of the street, crawling. And then him in a back alley, crawling. Something happens, doesn't notice him crawling, keeps going. And then all of a sudden he ends up back at home, and he looks at his wife, and his wife looks at him. He's crawling into the house. Like, he's not even walking to the house. His wife looks at him, she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I hate to admit it." Like, Jerry's like, "I hate to admit it, but I just kept crawling, and it just kept working." He's like, "I thought if I stood up that something would go wrong."
Oh my God.
And Austin looked at me, he's like, "That right there is how you got to be a GM." And I'm like, I looked at him, I was like, that is the best analogy you could ever say. I was like, he's like, "Yeah, you literally just kept crawling and didn't do enough wrong things, and somehow you got it."
Just got it.
I was so happy because I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I admit it. I was like, I don't know how, but it just happened. It was sweet. Okay.
That kind of reminds me. I went to the pharmacy. This was like December. I went to the pharmacy to get sinus medicine. Okay, and there's a teacher in there, one of our old high school teachers.
Oh, okay.
I was a terrible student in high school and middle school. All right, class clown. Always had to be funny. Okay. So I'm checking out, and this teacher's in there, and she's like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And I was talking to her for a little bit, and she's like, "What are you doing now?" And I told her, I was like, I'm a grad student, like, at CMU, and I'm a research assistant, and I'm a teaching assistant, and like in next spring, or next fall, I'm gonna be like a professor at CMU. And her mouth dropped open, like her chin was in her chest.
Okay, so what did she teach? You don't have to say her name, but like, give me some hints.
I think English.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her mouth just dropped wide open.
Okay. We're doing hand signals, people. We got it. We got it figured out.
Just like at that moment, I want to be like, "Yeah, remember that time you sent me to the principal's office?" And the principal walked in, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I remember Wentworth walked in too, and he's like, "It was me and Ian."
Yeah, okay.
We got sent together. Remember Wentworth walked in, he's like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "Did you win an award?"
Did you win an award? I won an award for hanging out with this idiot.
And so the principal walked in, and he's like, "What are you guys doing here?" We like told him what happened. He's like, "Go back to class." I want to be like, "Remember that time you sent me to the principal's office?" I was like, "Now look."
Yeah. I'm at your profession.
Oh my God. Times about 3.
That's such a slap in the face. She's probably looking at you like, this chick's lying to me. This chick is just...
She probably was.
She's like, she knows what would fucking be funny right now. She knows that would be hilarious.
Oh my God.
It is cool when you come back to Beaverton, or you come back to like whatever you were used to be a part of, and people remember you in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's just like... That was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Clearly we're a little different, but like I can see where you're coming from. It's just fun to have that transformation though, because it's like, okay. Like,
especially you, because I mean, when you left high school, you were 5'5", maybe.
Yeah.
Tiny kid, chubby, like
nothing going for me whatsoever. I had a cute smile. That was about it. Cute smile and a clean haircut. I looked very
You had better hair back then, I'll say that. You didn't look like a hippie.
Well, that's what I'm going for. Yeah, I was just a very unsuspecting person. Chris, back to Dunham's, he also, when I first hired, I went to apply for that job 3 times. the first 3 times I applied, I was 17. They can't hire anyone that isn't 18.
Yeah.
The 3rd time he asked me straight up, he's like, I got a question for you. He's like, the reason I haven't been hiring you is because I kind of already know the answer, but how old are you? He's like, I'm not supposed to ask you this, but I feel like you're okay with it. I'm like, I'm 17. And he's like, well, when you turn 18, call me.
Yeah.
And I was like, sick. So August 1st, obviously not my actual birthday.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a job that day. That would be stupid. August 1st, I called him up and I was like, hey, had my birthday yesterday. Can I come work now? And he's like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I was like, sick. Yeah, that's how I got hired. And I was just like, that's what I think it was, is the fact that I was just super, like, I kept asking, and I'm like, I tried.
Yeah.
I'm like, this kid puts in effort. You don't see, this guy doesn't see anything particularly amazing in me. Just the fact that he puts in effort.
Just keeps asking for a job.
That's really, at this time of age, that's really all you need. If you're willing to work, you're already hired.
Yeah.
But no, it was that's funny. The fact that an old English teacher, and it's like English teacher's more of a little, I don't know if you said that before, but I'm giving that away.
Yeah.
It's more of a, English teachers are way more, I don't know, they seem slightly more like intellectual or like philosophical in some sense, because they have to explain to you books. Like, you think you'd be able to understand that shit, but you really can't, and then they break it down for you, and you're like, oh my god, this lady's like really smart. Yeah, but like, they seem to be those like, you know, higher education teachers, so then when you come back and you're like, hey, I'm about to be a professor at super high education, you about blew her mind.
And like, the thing is, like, oh my god, like our other English teacher.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know, I probably know once you start saying it. Is it young or older?
Young.
Okay, then yeah.
Yep. Like, I don't know why, but she hated me. Okay? Like, I remember one time in class I coughed, and she's like, can you be quiet?
She would do that.
Exactly. And I remember one time she told me, she's like, if you don't start paying attention and like mature, and she's like, you're never literally gonna, like, she flat out told me, you're never gonna amount to anything, like, if you don't mature. I was like, well, like, really?
I'm super mature. I just don't like to show it.
I like to have fun doesn't mean I'm not mature, first off. I'm like, oh my god.
No, that's okay. I think I know. That's freshman, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's totally. She loved me.
Oh, surprise! Everybody loved Little Nate.
Yeah, everyone did. It was awesome. I found it very hard to make enemies. On the sheer fact that all my enemies knew that I was very easy to beat up.
I think those were the only two that really didn't like me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's probably... The science teachers loved us.
Yeah.
I mean, Mock and Hitzman were dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
They are, yeah.
They were amazing. I got Mock to say Bazinga, and Hitzman taught me valuable things about Pokemon.
Pokemon.
That was amazing. Did they also teach me about science? Yes. I'll give them credit there. But those are the other things that I actually remember.
Yeah.
But no, they were awesome.
Wentworth and Mishler, the history teachers, they're cool.
They're cool. I didn't have Mishler.
You didn't?
I
think I had Mishler for biology, actually.
I had Mishler for 7th grade basketball.
Yeah, he's our basketball coach. Yeah,
but I didn't have him for anything else. But I did have Wentworth, and Wentworth was obviously awesome because we got to, first of all, he would let anyone sleep in his class. And I'm surprised I didn't take more advantage of that, which kind of made me mad. But there was one time, you know how you do the case study, or you do like the judges and trial jury?
The mock trial.
The mock trial. Yeah. So we were doing the mock trial, and at one point, it was me and Emily Owens.
Oh, God.
You put me and Emily Owens on the same team, and I don't know what happens. The only good thing I did through that whole trial is play the social game, in the sense of, you know, because it's like fake people, obviously. Yep. So like, this girl got this fake role, and somehow her fake boyfriend is also her real boyfriend.
Oh, God.
So I'm sitting there making jokes about like, do you think that she's cheating on you? Because I think that's a high possibility in this case, and that could be a motive for blah 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 blah. And Oh, right when I said that, she looked at her boyfriend for real and was like, whoa,
Oh, no.
is this real? Like, is this not the trial? Does he know something I don't?
Playing games with me right now?
Yeah. So then shit just starts flying. And Wentworth looked at me like, thumbs up. He's like, you really broke this case wide open by making some shit up. And I was like, yes, I know. I was like, I don't know this case at all.
I don't know what's going on.
That Emily said that she would handle that part. All I'm doing is stepping in to make things interesting.
I remember when we did ours. No, this was. I got called in as like a witness, quote unquote, for like another classes.
Oh, okay.
And I remember Tabitha, our valedictorian, the smartest girl in our class. She was the like opposing, like the prosecutor or whatever,
Yep.
like the lawyer that was questioning me. And she like asked me a question, and just right off the top of my head, I just said, I can't remember what she asked me about, like medication or something.
Yeah.
And I said I can't remember. I was on medication or something like that. She's like, "Oh, really? Do you have a prescription with that?" And I was like, "Yeah, you want to see it?" And like the whole room just went silent. And like in the back, you could hear Wentworth just start laughing. Because like Tabitha was tearing people up, and then all of a sudden I just come out. I'm like, "Yeah, you want to see it?"
I got a doctor's note right here. It's funny because like in those situations, if you're on the stand, you're fair game, man.
Exactly.
You're fair game. And like the people on the stand made it way worse for everyone else.
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's like a specific case.
Exactly.
There's something
You
that
have
like
to know what to say.
there's stuff you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
No one ever says it. The case just goes downhill quick. You don't even know what you're arguing about anymore. Tabitha probably was the only person that knew. She was probably mad it didn't go the way she wanted it to.
She 100% was. And I remember, like, when I did it, Ian was one of the opposing, like, witnesses, or
Yeah.
he was, like, on the opposing side. And I was one of the lawyers, and I might like Katie Walters was the other one.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's recall Ian up. He's not gonna have no clue what's going on or what to say. So she's like, we'd like to recall whatever his character's name was, and he's like, he like went in, he sat in the chair, he's like, sorry guys. He's like, sorry in advance, I have no clue what to say. Oh my god.
And then you just ask him one question and he's like, yeah, I'm done.
I'm just gonna leave.
I'm guilty, bro. I did it. It's only 30 days in jail. I got it. Don't worry. Sir, you weren't even up for debate. You're like,
Sir, you're just a witness.
no, actually, I really did it.
Oh my god.
Oh. No, let's get back into, I don't know, some valuable things.
Valuable.
So the other thing in high school that you could say that we did that was actually productive in some sense
Actually productive.
was the student section.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty dope.
That's still something like today.
I will never forget
like
that.
people ask, like, oh, what's Beaverton known for or whatever, and I'll be like basketball. And when I was in high school, our student section.
Yeah.
And then like I'll show like the videos and stuff. It's,
I always do.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, want to see what we did in between
Yeah.
freaking timeouts,
Exactly.
halftime? Like, this was a production. Like, the Pistons want us to do this at their games. And it was cool on how broad it got.
Yeah.
Because not only did we win basketball games, but we would travel.
Yeah.
And, like, Traverse City St. Francis, like, their school, had, like, Jesus in a big old picture in the gym. And one of our skits was splitting the Red Sea.
Yeah.
They literally, their AD asked us, they're like, hey, you kind of have to do this while you're here.
Yeah.
Just like, he let Shatter know or something, and Shad's like, don't worry. We already, done. You want it third quarter, fourth quarter? When do you want it?
And I think this year Dow was in it, or Dow won it.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And me and my mom were watching the news one night, and the sports guy, he's like, I think like the last school from around here to even be in it, he's like, was Beaverton. And I was like, woo!
Yeah. Yeah, back when we won that.
Yeah.
And that was also cool because student sections were based on size, being one student section had to get in that was like a 300 or 400 student school.
Class C or whatever.
Yeah, Class C or lower.
Yeah.
And we were the ones that got in and then won it.
Beat the
beat the huge schools. And it's literally like, you look at those, if we did what we did with that amount of people, oh my God, we would have had theaters and stuff filled. Like we would have, it would have been nuts because we did everything.
Yeah.
We were making stuff up at girls' games. We were making stuff up at guys' games. We had some planning when it come to the big events.
Yeah.
And freaking not pyro, but we definitely had smoke machines and music and.
The first battle of fans night, like the first night the first year the year we won, the MHSA was.
Well,
there.
the first year.
Oh my God.
We lost.
Well, the first year that we were in the top 5 or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
but okay, first year we were in the top 5.
I think we won it the first year and then we got
second.
We were just in top 5 the second year.
Yep.
But yeah, I just remember we had. Oh my God. I remember like we had that meeting with MHSA beforehand.
Yep.
For like a couple hours, and we had no clue like how many kids were gonna show up for the student section.
Yeah.
And I remember we just walked into the gym, and it was like half of the one side was all
covered.
students. And I was
Yeah,
like,
we were.
Oh my God.
We were literally the captains of the student section were locked in this room having an interview with these guys, and we had no idea. We literally got out 10 minutes, 20 minutes before the game started, and the place was packed.
Yeah.
It was awesome. The second time they came, they used a lot of my quotes, and I was super happy about that.
Yeah, the whole like article was about it.
Yeah.
The beginning was
I was like, how did I was like, literally, those 4 quotes are all I said the entire 4 hours. And they were like, oh, it was a good one. I was like, yes. No, but like, I think the main reason that was so good, not only did we learn from like Jory and Adam, but like, once we took over, and Shad, we're like sitting there, we're like, no, we're winning this. Like, we know the parameters in which to win.
Yeah.
And we know what we have to do. So we're just going to do it. And there was another podcast that I had that I talked to. His name's Jake. He was for, what other teams did we go against the year we won? Buchanan. It wasn't them.
TC West?
TC West was one of them, yeah.
And then
Who did we take a picture with? Remember that? We took a picture up in the mezzanines.
Buchanan.
That was Buchanan?
Yeah.
Okay, then it wasn't Buchanan. Where did he go? He went somewhere else, but he was on one of those other teams. St. John's. St. John's,
yeah.
yes. And I remembered him because he had long hair.
Oh, God.
So I was like, that guy has long hair, and he's sitting in front of me, that guy's cool. And I heard someone say his name, and I was like, Instagram, follow.
Oh, my God.
So I followed this guy for like 6 years. I saw him at the bar, and I looked at him from across the bar, and I was like,
I know that kid.
I fucking know you. I was like, I'm going to be real weird here in a couple minutes once I get the chance to talk to you. So I talked to him for a little bit. He talked to some other CMU football players. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm in with them. I can just walk over and be good.
Yeah.
So then I started talking to him, and I was like, hey, I think I recognize you. And he's like, what? From what? And I was like, did you ever do anything called Battle of the Fans? And he looked at me. He's like, no fucking way.
Oh, my God.
And I looked at him. I was like, yeah, I'm from Beaverton. And he's like, you're from Beaverton? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh my God, like, you guys were awesome back then, like, blah, blah. I'm sitting there, I'm like, yes, dude. He's like, you guys were too. Like, that was awesome. And we're sitting there just reminiscing in the middle of freaking, on the outside patio of Wayside. Like, you tell me
What
why.
are the odds?
Yeah, you tell me how I meet him there. And we're just sitting there chilling and talking. I'm like, this guy's dope as hell.
That's awesome.
It was so cool. And just like to have that, nostalgic factor.
Yeah.
Like, and then I asked him, I was like, what did you guys do? Like, how'd you guys prepare? What did you guys do? He straight up said, he's like, we showed up.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you just showed up and that's what happened? And they're like, yeah. And we're like, oh.
Okay.
I was like, more power to you.
Yeah.
I was like, that
We
took
had
us like
meetings.
4
Yeah.
meetings to like, that took us that and like we'd get out of lunch and go like talk to people and be like, hey, you gotta show up to the
Yeah.
freaking game today.
And then we got like Kara donated all those T-shirts
Yes.
that one year.
We had parents paying for buses so that we could go to games.
Exactly.
Like parents would be like, "Oh, they have to pay $5 to ride a bus to the game." No, I got it.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, thank you." Now we can take 2 buses
Yeah.
because the kids are still willing to pay for one. And then it was awesome. The community involvement during that time was something that you could never. I mean, you could replicate, but I don't think we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe until. We have like kids and they're freaking running around Beaverton, but odds are half of them ain't gonna be running around Beaverton.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It would be nice. I think obviously the educational part and just being a small town school is harder.
Yeah.
Being that 30 people had advanced math
Not Jen.
Not Jen. Jen was not a part of that class.
Disgusting.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what. The downside to advanced math, you got done with math classes before junior year. And if you didn't take college credit like me,
Yeah.
I didn't have math for 2 years.
Yeah.
I got to college. Math 104 was freaking bullshit, dude. Like, it's basic algebra, like x minus 4. And I'm sitting here looking at it like,
Wait a
whoa.
second. Where did the letters
Yeah.
come from?
I forgot about this. And yeah, it was hard as shit. And I was like, I kind of wish I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Or at least I would have went somewhere. But then we got to rock out together in business tech.
Oh, God.
I don't know if you remember this, but you know that we pretty much ran that class whenever Miss Ewert had a day off. Mm-hmm. Like, Miss Irway would come in. Dorothy, we love Dorothy. She would come in and she like would read the lesson plan.
Yeah.
And the lesson plan would be, we're gonna play Jeopardy today. We're gonna play Jeopardy today, and Nate and Jen must come to the front of the class and run it, and Dorothy can do whatever the hell she wants.
And then we did those, like, the video making tutorials on, like, Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes. And Jen's like, I've been killing this since 8th grade.
Literally, like, I am so thankful that I started doing that stuff because, like, that is a huge part of, like, what I do at Parks and Rec now.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, did you take, like, graphic design classes and stuff in college? I'm like, no. I just started in, like, 8th grade, like, the first movie. The first video I made was probably, like, the one where our dad's last football season coaching together.
Yeah.
And I made, like,
the
a slideshow
2015.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. That's on YouTube, isn't it still? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, because it had the records and everything, and
Yeah.
like how good they did, and all the pictures.
Do you remember when they both were like hysterically sobbing when they gave you the coaches award that one year?
Was it
It was 8th grade.
8th grade?
And obviously it was already emotional because they were like.
Well, Matt had to do it, didn't he?
Yeah, because your dad.
I was about to say I don't remember my dad crying.
barely got through Seth because Seth got like best offensive.
Yeah,
player
he got
or something.
offensive, and he was crying.
He's like Seth Giroux.
He sticks the thing up. He puts his head down and I can barely say his name.
Seth Giroux.
Yeah. And then I remember he got to the coach's award, and Matt made me fucking cry the entire. The first thing he said was something.
Like everybody was crying.
We lost it. Like it was like, honestly, there was too many tears for a football banquet.
Didn't he bring up the story about how when Russell got hurt, you said you wished it was you or something
Yeah.
like that, and he just lost it?
I'll be honest, I don't remember saying that, but when he said it, I was like, I'll take props.
Look at me.
I was like, man, I'm taking one for the team here. This kid broke his leg, and I thought it should have been me. Not being the fact that, I thought I'd be the one to break my leg because I'm small.
Oh my god, I remember when we played 8th grade, we were playing Gladwin, and I thought Steven Esline snapped your leg in half. Like, he picked you up and slammed you into the ground, and like your leg, like I just saw your leg just like get crunched, and I was like, shit. I was like, Nate's dead. And he's like a high schooler at that point because he's huge.
Yeah.
And you're like 4 foot.
I'm in 4th grade at the time.
I was like, Nate is dead. I'm like, that. R.I.P. You're like screaming. You're like, ah! You like get up and like run off. Because I think you like were in shock.
I was. So what happened, and I remember this because it was Nate Craig and I think it was Cameron Stepaniak or something. These suckers, they were talking to me all game about how I wasn't the one to ever get hurt.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we could hurt everyone else on your team, but we can't hurt you. And I'm like, yeah, keep fucking trying. Try. I don't care. So each one of them took the time during a football play to pick me up by each leg.
Oh my god.
And I'm like on their shoulders. And then Steven Esline was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, let's jump over both of them, grab Nate, and then throw him to the ground from like 5 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And yeah, because my dad and Matt came over, and I remember that I didn't take my mouthpiece out. And they're like, take your mouthpiece out so you can talk. The whole time I was saying, I'm fine, I'm just scared. I'm fine, I'm just scared. And they were literally like, they're like, well then get up and get back, like go out. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. It just ran. And I'm like, it didn't hurt at all. But I knew in my head what just happened.
You're like,
And I'm like, how does that happen in a football game? And how does no one get penalized?
How am I still here?
Yeah.
And the next play, I remember me and Randall, we just kind of like looked at each other, and like Asline was the linebacker on that side, and we just went and just laid his ass out.
Good.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
God.
Appreciate it.
Nate!
And then look at him. He runs back out next play, ready to go. His eyes are fucking popping out of his head, but he's ready to play. Speaking of those moments where you look at someone and you kind of know, like, okay, this is what we're fucking doing. I remember later in that game took like 4 hours.
Yeah, because they kept passing.
Yeah, and they couldn't complete anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that game took 4 hours. That was the game that me and Yanni and Ian, Yanni and Ian, or me, Seth, and Ian were purposefully on the trip side.
Yeah.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
I remember me and Yanni, third quarter, we looked at each other. Didn't say a word. And we looked at each other and we're like, you could tell we both wanted to die. We literally looked at each other and we're like, we're so tired right now that like you're not gonna give up, so I'm not gonna give up, but like if you laid on the ground right now, I would fall with you. Like I would just done.
Yeah.
And like we knew that in our heads, and it was just like, nope, we're still here. Time's still on the clock. We gotta win. Like we gotta do it. Like, and the game wasn't even hard. We were up by like 20.
40, yeah, I think we won like 44 to 20
22.
or something.
Yeah. But yeah, we were up. Like it didn't matter, but we were just like, can this be over, please?
Yeah.
No, that shit was fun. That shit was so much fun.
That was the same game that there was like 5 seconds left in the half, and my dad was like, if the ball just comes at, we were on defense, and my dad was like, if the ball, like, just knock it down, don't try to intercept it or anything, and Ian was like, Coach, what if it just comes right to me? My dad's like, we'll catch it then. Literally the next play, the ball goes right to Ian, and he's got a pick six for a touchdown.
And then Matt's thinking like, damn, good thing he asked that question.
Oh my God.
He's like, I could have told that kid the wrong play.
God.
It was fun though, because like I talked to Ronnie about this the other day too, but he's like, our parents coached like they were kids.
Yeah.
Like they weren't out there to superly be like the, you know, most morally like correct sometimes. Like they were like, you know, play the game the fair way, but I remember I got yelled at by my dad because there was a pile. You know how that happens in football? There's just a push pile, and no one's fallen yet, but everyone's just pushing.
Yeah.
I didn't fuck with that. I was in 7th grade. I was tiny. Like, I don't get in those piles. And I remember one happened, and they, like, made some yards. They got, like, 2. The guy fell. And my dad is just screaming at me from the sideline. I'm sitting there, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that's what we're doing right now? Like, I'm like, Dad, I have no help in that situation. I'm just going to get hurt. They're going to land on me, and I'm going to break a leg. Like, what's going on here? And, yeah, no, I don't know where that was going, but I do remember that, and I hated it. I hated when he yelled at me for shit like that. I'm like, dude, I know my limits. The only reason I'm good is because I know I'm small.
I know how to handle it.
Yeah. How I handle it is by not handling it. That's why the the post-pubescent kids, they're in there. I don't go in there. That's not where I'm supposed to be.
Oh my God.
And then Matt, okay, so back to the awards.
God.
Matt also once gave me the biggest compliment ever.
Oh God.
While we were watching, we were listening to Boys of Fall.
Oh Jesus.
That song came out in 2010, people, and that was when we were on our championship run.
Yep, undefeated for like 3 straight years.
Yeah, we also had a bunch of kids out due to concussions.
Oh God.
And I'm pretty sure both of our dads knew that we were going to lose the championship game.
Yep.
But they were trying to really motivate us. So we sat in the locker room listening to Boys of Fall. And then we got a big old speech after about blah, 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 like football is life and stuff like that, you know? And I don't know how we got to it, but Matt got on the topic of who's the hardest hitter on the football team.
God.
And guess who that motherfucker said? You'll never guess. It was me. And he came back to say, he was like, you know what? You know, Ian, Clay, you guys all hit really hard. You guys do. But Nate hits you with the 110%. every time.
Might not have any legs after he hits you.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you might not have legs, but you might not have the ball either, because he's going to put his helmet right on the fucking ball and hit you hard. He's like, he does it every time. You know how many fumbles Nate has caused on the sheer fact that he hits you? He's like, he doesn't even try to make a forced fumble. He just really tries to hit you hard enough to where you fall. Because if he doesn't do that, he gets dead. He just gets ran over.
He's just dead.
And I tell you what, I hurt so many people in football back in those days. I broke Randall's collarbone. Did you know that was me that did that?
I forgot about that.
I was the one that did it. He looked right at me and he was like, "You asshole." And I was like, dude.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, you're 5'10" in 6th grade. What do you want me to do?
You're the biggest kid on the field.
You shouldn't even be running the ball. That is the coach's fault. You're overweight. We have weight limits for a reason. No, I hit him low, and he thought that he could lower his shoulder into me, and I was like, put 2 and 2 together,
Too
but
low here, bud.
you're not gonna reach. You're not gonna reach unless you can get on the ground.
Unless you're crawling after.
Yeah, you're not gonna win that battle. So I took him out, and he put all his weight on his shoulder, and then just crack. I felt so bad. I was
Sorry, Randall.
I was like, this is practice, man. We're not trying to hurt each other in practice, but it happens. It happens.
No, I will say that, I feel like the hardest hitting person on our team was Clay.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I could, Ian and Russell and all them, that was fine. But I remember I got hit by Clay once, and I was like, holy shit. Because Clay didn't care. He just flew in and knocked your ass out.
Clay had no remorse.
No, exactly. He did nothing. No control whatsoever.
There was a couple times in high school where even Sizer was like, holy shit. Who is this kid, and where did he learn to play football? Because they're not only was Clay, 6'1", 6'2", fastest kid on the team, but he could get as low as I could. And when he got low, going how fast he could run,
exactly,
he would kill you. Like your foot happened to be stuck in the ground, you're losing a knee. It wasn't good.
Bye ACL.
Yeah. And no, I was very also, I really wish comparison-wise we could have compared ourselves to more people. That's why I wish there was travel football. Not that travel football is at all A, socially accepted, and B, financially or any way possible. At least full-on contact, you just can't do it. But I wish there was.
Well, I was watching. There's a documentary on Netflix. It's a series.
Yep.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's about this youth football league in New York City, and these kids there's this thing in Florida at the end of every year now where football teams from all over the country can go there, and it's this big tournament thing, and you can go there. I was like, well, shit, that would have been amazing if we got to do that.
Mm-hmm. At least compete,
Yeah.
Because, then you'd at least know, hey, this isn't just Jack Pine. If you win a game over there, okay, maybe you got lucky and had, the weird, bad team, but, at least you won one.
Exactly.
You got to Florida and you won a game.
Got to go to, Florida as a team.
Yeah.
That'd be so
All these
cool.
baseball teams get to do it.
Oh,
They,
God.
they discriminate against football.
Travel baseball and softball. Don't even get me started.
Yeah? What's so bad about travel baseball and softball? Let's get
Travel
into it.
baseball and softball now has gotten so watered down. It's not even a special thing anymore. It's
Believable.
Just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Because too many kids are in it now. The
if
youth
your parents
programs
have
are
the
down.
Money,
You're in.
come on the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. One of my bosses at Parks and Rec is he's involved in USA softball.
Yep.
So we host a USA softball tournament in Mount Pleasant every summer, and the amount, the drastic change that I've seen from playing in it, and also now to working at it, it's apples to oranges. It's outrageous.
And how just the talent level went down.
Exactly. That.
It's supposed to be the reason you go to travel ball is because the rec league
You're
doesn't
good. Exactly.
challenge you.
Yeah. And now, there used to be an A and a B when I played, and A, you were gonna go to nationals and were the best in your state and everything, and B was for the really good teams, whatever, But now everybody's in A and B are basically just the rec league teams that just want to travel in the summer.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like, it was hard to get on All-Stars, let alone travel ball.
Yeah.
Because I never played travel baseball, but we played in All-Stars. And All-Stars, how it worked in Beaverton, I'm going to guess that's how it works in most places, but the coaches obviously just vote, and then they pick their kids. And, well, they pick their kids first of all, and then they just pick whoever they want on their team, and then you take them and you go. And it was like, first of all, my dad didn't even vote for me, so like I had to literally be good enough where everyone else is like, oh well, we need that kid, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
But it was way harder. Like, you would go from All-Star or like rec league to where the bottom 6 of your batting lineup, those kids that hit a ball, it is like you almost start crying because of how awesome they feel for it. Like those kids need. I umpired actually after high school too, and I'm telling you, any kid that was a travel league kid, you throw a perfect strike, or else I'm not fucking calling it. Because guess what? If you're sitting here painting corners on little Jimmy, who's homeschooled, who barely
can barely hold the bat,
he can barely
swing it.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't respect you. Throw it down the middle and throw him out at first. Give him his respect. And that would make me so mad because and it was all the coaches' kids that would come in and they'd pitch and they're like, oh, we need to practice this. I'm like, yes, I get you need to practice. Practice on the first 3 batters.
Yeah.
First 3 batters are all your friends, and if you strike them out, you have some bragging rights.
Yeah.
You brag about striking any of these other kids out, I mean, you're also a kid and you have a lot to learn, but still, like, you know the difference. There's a difference in level. Let them hit it and throw them out. Because guess what? The joy they get from getting on base is a heck of a lot more than you get from striking them out.
Yeah.
And it was fun to see that as an umpire and be able to do that and be like, and you could control that. Because, like, parents, once you say that, once you have that reasoning, parents won't argue.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Then you're morally wrong.
Exactly.
Like, I got you by the balls, dude. Like, and then they would tell their kid, throw strikes.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, anything in this little ball range, I'll call all day. I was like, if he doesn't swing the bat, that's his fault.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind that, but just make it to where you can hit it. It was, Little League was fun.
Yeah.
Little League taught you a lot, though, about people and about... I probably learned more in baseball than I did in anything else, socially.
I think parents now are just outrageous.
It's too much. It's too much.
Because, like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
They care too much. They're, like, living through their kids.
Yeah.
And it's rough to watch, at least. Because, like, I see both sides of it. I work for Parks and Rec, and I do stuff with travel softball.
Yeah.
It's like travel softball I can kind of understand, but for youth rec, basketball or soccer league, your kid's there just to do something after school or just to get some exercise. Like,
yeah. It's there for fun. Yeah. Legit.
Recreation is fun. Come on.
That's why I work here.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to not have fun here.
God.
We're not here to win, by 100 on your little baseball game. Yeah, I don't know. And then the whole keeping score thing. T-ball is like not keeping score anymore. I remember keeping score in T-ball. I do remember that.
We keep score in everything but soccer, but like we don't have like. I don't know how we would keep score at, like, the soccer fields. Like, that's the only reason we don't keep score at soccer is because we don't have, like, scoreboards or anything out there. Like, the kids obviously know what the score is. And the coaches know what the score is, too. But, yeah. We keep score at everything now.
Good. You should. Kids should know that they're losers sometimes.
Exactly. Like, I feel like that's a big problem with, like... I feel like a boomer, like, problem with kids nowadays.
Yeah.
But, like, that's
Learn to lose.
Problem. Like, you don't always win and you don't always get a freaking medal. I'm sorry. Like, people are going to tell you that you suck to your face sometimes.
And guess what? If someone does tell you that, you probably kind of do.
Exactly. Go work harder.
Yes.
Remember when I didn't make varsity softball as a freshman? Like, that was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Like, I was pissed. Like, I was going to quit softball. I was going to go to a different school. And then my dad was just like, you know what? Just work harder, Jen. Just work harder. And
then you're good.
Exactly.
And then you did not pitch ever.
Exactly.
Like, I am the only pitcher on this team. But yeah, no, that was, I don't know. You do learn a lot by losing, for sure. And I tell you what, being the small kid in a little league, there was another defining moment in my life where you get to All-Stars, okay? There's no weak links, okay? You can't pick out anyone to hit to on purpose at that point, because guess what? Shortstop, really good. First base, really good. Outfielder,
even the right fielder, really good.
Yeah, he's really good. At least he's able to catch a ball. So if I hit it near him, I'm screwed. And the problem with outfield is, though, I couldn't hit it to the outfield. So the moral of the story is, I got to All-Stars, and almost every practice I was ever a part of a hitting drill, and it was against a live team. Guess what my friends did?
What?
Well, the outfielders
Scooted it a little bit.
played the gaps. So my only win, me being able to hit gaps and run fast, was now out the window. There's 9 people on the infield, and if I could lift the ball slightly over these guys, I would be on base every time. But we all know that I wasn't strong enough to do that. So, and what really pissed me off is the coaches never did anything about it. Guess what? MLB, I just learned this the other day, MLB can't do shifts anymore. They can't do shifts anymore because it ruins the game. And guess what?
And it hurts little kids' feelings when they can't hit it farther than the infield.
It fucking hurt my feelings. They all knew. I got to practice and I was like, this is pointless. Teams aren't going to do this to me, guys. Teams aren't going to know this, and I'll be able to get on base. And now I can't. And they all thought it was funny. Even the dads. My dad thought it was hilarious. They're like, hey, you got to hit it over them. And I was like, well,
come on.
It's like, no one taught me how to do that.
Basically, kindergartner here.
I was.
I can't remember who I told, but I just told somebody the other day about how we went to a football game one time in Harrison, me, you, and my dad and your dad. And I think we were in like 3rd or 4th grade. And you and your dad walked in, and kindergartners got in for free. And your dad's like, he's a kindergartner. Walk through. And I was a bigger kid. Obviously bigger than you. 3rd grader kid. We go to walk in, my dad's like, she's in kindergarten too. I was like, oh my god. Can you imagine what those people were thinking? Like, Jesus, that's a big kindergartner. Oh my god.
You want to know something even worse than that? Not only did my dad use my inability to grow as a way to save money at football games, he used it as a way to save money at Mongolian barbecue.
Oh god.
I'll tell you right now, 3rd grade to kindergarten was, that's a pretty close comparison.
A little bit.
It's pretty close. It's only 2 years. When you go to Mongolian barbecue and you're supposed to be under 10 and you're 15
Oh my god.
and you get a free Mongolian meal, guess what happens? You, your dad, and your mom end up going to Mongolian barbecue way more often than you should. Because every birthday was Mongolian barbecue. And every birthday, I was 10.
I was turning 10. Oh my god.
It was honestly the first time I was pretty okay with it. I was like, free meal, sure. Second time I was like, eventually I feel like someone else should stick up for me. Maybe some waiter will have the balls to question us and I'll be able to say, yes, sir, you are right.
I'm in 8th grade.
I can almost drive a damn car. And none of them helped me. None of them saved me from my misery. I just had to sit there and eat free food. It was horrible.
Oh my god.
It was nice, but it was horrible. It was like, damn, Dad. Like, I know, but, it's like, it's a very, you bring it up and it hurts.
I can see it getting old.
Like, I show people my ID and they're like, whoa. Like, I was like, you changed a lot. He's like, that's what you look like when you were 16. I was like, yeah.
Yep.
Tough, huh?
I just had to get my 25 and older ID. I had a little crisis internally, but I'm having a quarter life crisis.
Quarter.
Now that I'm 25. Oh my god.
What quarter life crisis other things have you had?
What do you mean?
You're about to be off your parents' insurance. Can you afford that?
I know. I just had to get eyeglass and something else.
Dental?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my own because I'm too old now. Oh my god.
See? It's the part of growing up that
And,
no
like,
one likes.
When you sign up for something and you have to put the year you were born and you just have to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Imagine if you're our parents. Like shit. Scrolling. Yeah. You're going to the next page.
And then you get these kids that, like, high schoolers were born in like 2003 now. Oh my god, blows my mind. Like,
when you go to a bar and you see, like, you can't order a beer unless you were born in whatever year, and it's like, whoa!
Yeah, that was just me yesterday. Why does it change?
Why is it 2005?
God.
And then you imagine, like, what if I was born in 2003 or something, like, and I just turned 21? I'll be like, oh my god,
Jesus.
I would have missed out on so much. That's what sucks about these kids now. The generation that we grew up in, like, video games just
I was
started.
gonna say, I feel like we had a time when we were kids without cell phone.
Yeah.
And like we didn't have everything.
I played in the woods.
Exactly.
My dad made me play in the woods.
Yeah.
And I would go build lean-tos, and that fucker would have to come find me. Because I was like, I'm not coming in now. I have shelter. Yeah, I have shelter. I don't need you anymore. And then I'd also make weapons. I would also make, like, whips out of rope and sticks.
Jeez.
And, like, they weren't good whips. I mean, like, they would probably annoy you. They wouldn't hurt you. But, like, sticks and spears and shit I'd throw around. I'm like, Dad, I have a full armory and a, like, home. Like, I'm good. Like, I'll come in for dinner, but that's about it.
I'll come eat, but
I'm gonna sleep out here one of these nights. They always bet me to. I never did.
oh my god.
But no, it was, like, it was funny. If you ever had a parent say, like, oh, video games will never make you money now, like, you can prove them wrong. Yeah, you got 10-year-olds making millions playing Fortnite.
And like the YouTubers and stuff that are millionaires now.
Yeah, and they're like,
God.
and you're like, oh, yeah, Dad, if you would have been able to realize what could have happened, I could have been at the forefront of all of this.
Team, you has an esports team now.
I could have been ready, but no. Did you know that, like, esports, this is also super weird.
Oh god.
Esports has you kind of have a career lifeline in esports because as your age increases, your reaction time obviously also decreases.
Yeah.
So, like, the majority of esport contenders are teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, that is your prime years, which is also nuts.
Yeah.
Because, like, you hit your prime years before you went to college.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, you're a millionaire going to college, and, like, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bet they wish they didn't get a participation. I bet they don't get participation trophies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like at my at work the other day, we were in a meeting, and like flag football is going right now, and I was like, I want to do something fun for the last week. Like, I want to have like a skills competition, and I was like, and like kids who win, like, throw it the farthest or like have the fastest 40-yard dash or whatever, like, they'll get a certificate. And my boss is like,
Can't do that.
well, is everybody gonna get one? And I was like, probably not, no. And they were like, well, I don't know. Like, maybe you should have like a couple best teammates. I was like, no.
You're part of the problem.
Why are we like this now?
Yeah, I remember track and field day, and that shit used to be dope.
Exactly.
You would get first, second, third. And guess what? I'll tell you right now, I was super, super proud of my 7th place mile. Because there were definitely more than 7 kids in that class that could run faster than me.
Exactly.
But guess what? Effort, baby. Effort and the will to win.
A mile. Oh my god.
Yeah. That shit would get hard. You tell me how many high schoolers want to run a mile.
I remember.
And that was in 6th grade.
I had gym class freshman year, third period or whatever. You don't want to go run a mile at 10 a.m. and then go to school the rest of the day.
Yeah, let alone, you're not going to take a shower.
Exactly.
That's weird. Weird kids take showers.
Exactly. And oh God, Showalter, of course. Like, I walked 3 laps, probably.
Yeah.
Like, I had like a 13-minute mile. And Showalter's like, I think you can do better than that. You're an athlete. I was like, I don't want to do better than that. I could care less about my gym class mile.
Yeah. That's
Oh my
and what's
God.
good is that like they would base it off how much better you got.
Yeah.
So like the first time you're walking that shit.
Yeah.
Cuz then the next time if you so much as speed walk, you just shaved off like 5 minutes.
Exactly.
And like, "Hey, I get an A for that, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, you do." I was like, "Public school.
Rock and roll.
Let's go." All I wanted to do in class was play basketball, but no. The teacher said we have to learn other sports. I was like, other sports gonna pay the bills? Mr. Showalter?
Mr.
Or
Showalter.
freaking Miss Giroux?
I don't think I had Showalter.
I had her in middle school.
Yeah.
Mrs. Giroux, I should say. But yeah, no, she would never let me play basketball. We wanted to play basketball way more often. That shit was way more fun. Dodgeball? My
Oh
God.
my God.
I'll tell you what, if there were dodgeball events for adults, I tell you what, I'd be there.
100%.
Because that shit's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the competitiveness to throw a ball at someone, like, that's there.
Like
That never leaves you.
in like when I first started Parks and Rec, we used to have a youth dodgeball league, but like after COVID, since it's indoors, we haven't done it forever.
Oh, yeah.
And my coworker and I, his name's Tyler, we ran it, and we always used to get in and play with the kids. And I was like, well, this is bringing out competitive Jen.
Softball to the
I
face,
just
bam!
want to blast you in the face, Tyler. Oh my God.
Did you?
Couple times.
Yeah, I was about to say, you totally didn't hold back.
Yeah.
Tyler's like, who the fuck did I play
Who is
dodgeball
this
against?
girl? Oh my God.
Oh my God. No, it was
Sports.
sports. You learn a lot.
I still can't believe that. Like, I played football.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
Like, I remember when I first started at Parks and Rec, I told my boss that, like, because, like, obviously I talk about football, and I know
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
And a lot of girls don't, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's like, did you play football? I was like, yeah. And he's like, with, like, boys? I was like, yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, cool. And, like, all the parents, like, how I'm, like, coaching these flag football teams and stuff for work, like, all the parents are like, oh, like, are you here to help? I'm like, yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing, thank you. Go sit down.
My dad coached for 15 freaking years.
I'm here because you don't want to do it.
And the fact that we were literally born and raised
I
on
know.
football.
Yeah.
Like, you could walk, hey, you got to go to practice with your dad.
Literally, like, they started coaching.
The year after 2 years after you were born.
Yeah, no.
And a year after I was born.
They
Wasn't it?
started in, like, 97, I think.
Yeah.
So, like, a couple months after you were born and, like, almost a year after I was born.
Yeah.
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 And then they didn't stop till we got into, like, high school, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't stop. Matt didn't stop until 8th grade.
Yeah.
And then my dad didn't stop till after senior year.
Yeah.
But it was wild.
Yeah.
Because there was, like, I remember back in, like, 4th and 5th grade, okay? I don't have any plans. I don't have a car. Like, parents have to take you everywhere. If I had to go anywhere that wasn't football practice, my mom was going to have a hell of a time with me. Because there ain't no way I'm missing fucking football practices.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't. I didn't miss football. Like, I was there. Like, I was
Yeah.
consistent, and I was, like, under my dad the entire time.
Yeah.
Or we were playing football in the
Water
corner.
people.
Yeah. Like, we were learning shit. I was there listening to coach.
Yeah.
Like, there were things that I remember my dad coaching, and then when I got to play, I was like, I remember you said that 3 years. I remember you said that 3 years ago, so now I don't do it. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, you told Kenny Fedorov not to look back.
Kenny Fedorov. What a
Exactly how you know that I remember this.
name.
Kenny, there was a play where he got a run, and he got tackled because he kept looking behind him. Because he just couldn't run as fast if you keep looking behind him. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, that seems like a smart move. Seems very smart. So then I heard that, and a couple years later, someone else told me, they're like, hey, well, if you zigzag, it makes it harder to get to. And I was like, oh.
Cool.
I was like, there's 2 things I learned that I should do when running away from people is zigzag and not look back. I get into 6th grade football, and there was a play. It was against Farwell, obviously. That's how this kind of thing can happen. Toasted. They did just a pitch, halfback pitch, okay? He pitched it over the running back's head.
I remember that.
Pitched it over the running back's head. You know, first of all, if there's a pitch, I'm already in the backfield, ready to tackle it. Like, I'm waiting. Like, you do a fake pitch pass, I'm screwed. They pitched it, ball went over his head, and at that point, I was like, I'm so far into this, I don't need to tackle you.
I don't know what to do here.
No, I was like, I don't need to tackle you. I was like, I'm going to get the ball. Ball, one bounce, right into my lap. Caught it. Start running straight. So I'm running down the field, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm not very fast. And also, what if someone was chasing me right now? So maybe I should zigzag. So I'm sitting here, and I am legit not zigzagging. I'm not running fast in curved lines.
Yeah.
I am stopping in like hard left, hard right. Like, I'm getting down the field, but I'm just zigzagging.
And there was nobody near.
Drew Porter was the closest person to me, and if you knew Drew Porter, he wasn't very fast either. And he was the closest. He was like within 20 yards of me. No one else knew that. I looked back, and I looked, and I was like, man, that was stupid. I was like, who would have been near me? Like, I was there, had the ball, and gone in 2 seconds. Like, who's doing this? And my dad and Matt were just fucking laughing. They're like, why were you doing that? And I was like, you told these other guys to do that.
A zigzag.
So I was like, I just listened, Dad. Like, can you just not fault me for listening? I still scored. And he's like, yeah, but that was just weird looking. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, thanks. He's like, he's still a good touchdown. It was great touchdown.
Still got a scoop and score.
Yeah. But I remember that vividly. I was like, dude, what was going on there? What was going on in my head? Oh, man. Parks and Rec, though?
Yep.
Parks and Rec. What else do you do in the Parks and Rec field? Like, mainly managing that, or like, what else isn't something sport-related?
Isn't sports related?
Nothing?
They're called Thrilling Thursdays in the summer. So, like, every Thursday we have an event. Last year we did, like, Water Olympics, because it was the Olympics. And, like, people from all the community, it's free, people from all the community can come and do stuff. And then, like, we had, one year we had, like, an astronaut one, or, like, an outer space themed one. And, like, an astronaut that's from Michigan came and talked to all the kids. And that's mainly for, like, families and stuff. We also do, I don't really do anything with it, but we have, like, a farmer's market that we put on. We do the Mount Pleasant Christmas celebration. That is probably the biggest thing that we do, because it's, like, that's big. 3 days, basically. And we, like, do all the events. So, like, we did the parade. We did breakfast with Santa. A tree lighting on Friday night. We did, like, handle the Santa visits and, like, Santa. And this year was the first year we did, like, a winter farmer's market at it, too. Oh. And, like, a sing-along and a caroling thing. And that's probably the biggest thing that we do.
So, in comparison, because you've been doing Parks and Rec for, like, a long time.
Mm-hmm. Like, 3 years, I think.
Yeah. So, like, Parks and Rec versus teaching. Would you, prior to, like, all this happening, like, 3 years ago when you were in Parks and Rec, did you think that you were just going to be, like, a higher end Parks and Rec worker? Or, like, was that, like
what
just
I wanted to do?
Travel up that? Yeah. Or did you think you could? Maybe you kind of already knew that you were going to be a professor, but did you think, like, Parks and Rec might be dope?
I had no idea. Like, 3 years... I didn't know I wanted to be a professor until, like, the start of grad school. I was like, being a professor might be kind of cool, you know? Like, like I said earlier, like, if I can help students or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And schedule's not bad, obviously. But, like, before that, I either wanted to be, like, an athletic director or, like, recreation in the school, because, like, providing stuff for the community is really cool. Yeah. But, yeah, I had no clue. Like, professor wasn't even on my radar until, like, last year. Until you went into the GA. Until I started being Dr. Ballou's TA.
How?
And, like, with that, I needed an internship for grad school. and another professor, Dr. Mumford. I was in his office one day talking about like his class or something, like because his class we had to put on an event or something, I think. And I was like, I needed it. I told him that I was good at like the analytics stuff, and I was like, and I need like an internship and stuff. And he's like, well, if you're good at analytics, why don't you just ask Dr. Blue if you can be his teaching assistant or his research assistant? And I didn't even know like that those were a thing. Like I didn't know that I could be.
If that was an option.
Yeah, I didn't know that like teaching assistant was an option. And like a research assistant, like CMU pays you and they pay for part of your schooling and stuff. So that was really nice. So I emailed, like literally when I was driving home, I emailed Dr. Blue. I was like, hey, can like we jump on a WebEx real quick and like talk? Like I have a question. And he's like, yeah, for sure, hop on. So when I got home, I got on the WebEx. He's like, what's up? And we started talking a little bit. And I was like, well, Dr. Mumford and I were talking, and I was wondering, like, if I could be your teaching assistant for, like, my internship. And he's like, well, I don't really have any. And he thought, like, I was asking, like, if CMU paid, like, teaching assistants or whatever.
Yep.
And I was like, well, no, I was more so thinking, like, just for my internship credit. And he's like, well, heck yeah, I think you'd be great at it.
Yeah.
And so that's how that started.
One thing led to another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it weird?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that I've, like, when I podcast with people that they say that they're like, I want to be a part of this, so I just go ask.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, how simple is that? Like, the fact that people actually ask to be a part of something already means they're invested.
Mm-hmm.
They're willing to be invested.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have never heard someone say that they did that and then all of a sudden not do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you want to do this for free for me?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I remember being, like, so nervous when I asked him because I was like, he's going to say no. Like, he's not going to want me to help. But...
Yeah, and then obviously he's like, no shit. Like,
exactly.
Like, you don't want to get paid? Yeah, I'd love for you to come over and work for me. Yeah, like, you don't realize that until it happens. Like, oh, and we were talking about this the other day with Brandon, but, like, imposter syndrome. Yeah. And the fact, like, oh, am I good enough to even do this? And then it's like, I don't know, people are a lot, across the board, people are really not as smart or cool or anything as you kind of put them on the pedestal that they are. Like, Dan, great guy, but, like, is he really going to tell me? Is he really going to tell me no to, like, working for him for free? Like, that just seems idiotic on his part.
And, like, he is, like, one of the smartest people that I've ever, like, met. Like, just... like about in general about everything, and like he's so like I feel like he's so like well put together and like organized and everything, but like he like told me when he goes back to, he's from Kansas, when he goes back home, like people are like, you got your doctorate? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? Like they're so surprised that he got his doctorate. And like I think that's also another thing is like imposter syndrome. Like in middle school and high school and like the start of college, I was never good at math. Like I was never even, like, high school and middle school, I didn't care about school. Like, I was just there to hang out with my friends and play sports. I think my GPA was, like, a 3.0 in high school, barely, probably.
Yeah, mine was 3.3.
And, like, so I was always like, well, I'm not smart. Like, I'm not good at college. Like, I'm not going to be good at college. And then I get, and when I took that Dr. Blue's analytics class, the one that I help teach now, I was terrified. I was like, I'm going to fail this freaking class. I'm so stupid with math. Like, none of this is ever going to work out. And, like, I got an A in the class, and now I'm helping teach it. Yeah. And it's, like, just outrageous.
It's weird the instant you get into something you actually like. And it's like, oh, all this really does add up. Yeah. Like, all you have to do is learn it. And then once you do, it's like, oh, yeah, I got it. Yeah. Like, this is easy. I can kind of figure these problems out now. And it's just like, what is going... Like, just same thing with exercise science. When I first got into it, I was already certified. I already had clients at BAC. I had, like, 2-3 clients at BAC, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, my God. Like, I do, like, yeah, you work out, and... eventually, after doing it for a long time, you get stronger. That was legit the extent of my stuff. And I was like, this muscle works this. Do this for a long period of time, consistently over time, and you'll do better. That's all I knew. And I was like, basically, I'm not wrong. But also, I'm not right. You know? Yeah. And like, now that I'm through college, I know a lot more. But I also go back to the whole fact of, you don't get better unless you consistently do something over and over again. And it's so simple because it's like people that ask you, and anyone that's listening, if you ever had a workout plan not go right, how long did you do it?
Yeah.
And then if you ask yourself that and that answer is less than like 6 months, yeah, obviously you're not going to see shit. Like 6 months is a very, very short in training years. And it's just weird that people don't realize that. And then they'll say some other story like, it took me blah, blah, blah to get my doctorate or blah, blah, blah to get this. And it's like, yeah, but it took you, 10 years to figure out that you should probably work out.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all know these things. What tells us that why we don't do them? I don't know. But it happens so much. It happens so much. I couldn't believe it.
I know, like... I told my mom the other day, I was like, if you would have told me, like, when I graduated high school that, like, I would have done all of this crap, like, there's no way that I would have told you were crazy. There's no way.
AKA, you and me both sitting here being named most likely to stay in Beaverton. We got voted most likely to stay in Beaverton, and I guarantee you we are by far the two that if we went back, when we do, we both still live near Beaverton. The fact that we go back and people don't even know who the F we are anymore.
Exactly.
And it's like, first of all, we used to run this school. Like sports, basketball, football, student section, student government.
Yeah.
Like, you name it, we were in it. Like, we were there, and all the teachers knew us, everyone knew us. And it was like, me personally was... 5-year reunion, everyone would say Nate is going to come back being tall, fit as fuck, and has tats, and just he's going to look like all these things you wouldn't expect. Guess what?
Bus to travel the world in.
Yeah. Like, why? Like, most likely to stay in Beaverton, yet he lives in a bus. But it was nuts. I've talked about this with a ton of people, and it's just like, how did we get from there to there? And the fact that when we did get there from there to there, we had no idea we were going to end up there.
Exactly.
No idea that that's where it would end up. And then we were super happy it did. And it was like, oh my God.
I remember my junior year of undergrad, like, I didn't have an internship yet, and you obviously needed one to graduate.
Yeah.
And, like, I was supposed to, like, I wanted to work in collegiate ticket sales or whatever.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
First off, ticket sales is garbage.
Yeah, I was about to say, that sounds horrible.
Trash. And, but it was Michigan, and, like, my professor knew a guy from Michigan that went to CMU, so I, like, went down there and job shadowed him, and, like, I was gonna have an internship there, but then they got rid of that internship, so I was, like, I had nothing.
Yeah.
And I remembered my professor, who's my boss, I remember him, he had a guest speaker come in one night, and it was, like, a 6:30 to 9 o'clock class that I was in by, like, because I couldn't get into another class, whatever, and I hated it. Obviously a 3-hour class on a Wednesday night.
Not convenient.
And he brought in this guest speaker, and it was my other boss at Parks and Rec now, who's like my immediate boss. My professor is like the head boss. And his name is Steve, and he was talking about the softball tournament, and I was like, well, shit, I've played in that my whole life, And then he brought up this lady's name who's, like, one of the main reasons why softball is, like, so big in Mount Pleasant. Yeah. And she was one of my pitching coaches when I was younger. And I remember after his speech or whatever in his presentation, I was like, should I go up and talk to him, talk to him about softball and stuff? And I was, like, nervous. I was like, oh, God. And I literally, like, almost walked out the door. But I was like, no, just go up and talk to him, Jen. So I went up. I was like, is that Kay? Like, is Kay Bauk? And he's like, yeah, Kay. And we got talking and stuff. And so I remembered, like, that conversation when I didn't have an internship when I was a junior, and I emailed him. I'm like, so, like, I don't have an internship lined up, and I was, like, wondering if there's anything at Parks and Rec that I could, like, do, and he sent me, and he's like, yeah, for sure, come in, and so then I got my internship off of, like, a conversation, and then they hired me on, and
That's how I got my internship for college too. Coach Welsh came in and talked to the class, and it was cool because at the end of the class, he's like, okay, any questions? Everyone there, thinking they're smart, would ask exercise science questions. And I'm like, you are not going to make this guy think you're smart by whatever question you ask. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to, like, I don't know, two of the kids definitely were trying to stump him. And I'm sitting there, I'm like,
not a good
assholes,
look. Yeah.
assholes. I was like, don't do that. And I waited. I sat, and I was like the closest one to him, and I just listened to everything. And then at the very end, everyone left, and I looked at him. I was like, hey, I don't really have a question. I mean, I kind of do, but it's not like one of those. And he's like, what is it? I was like, so can I just internship with you next summer because I'm about to graduate? And he's like, in the summer? And I was like, yeah. He's like, do you have anyone for in the summer? And he's like, nope. He's like, you. And I'm like, I'm like, so just email you, down the road because obviously it's spring, like early spring. He's like, yeah, just shoot me an email. Tell your professor that you're gonna be working with me, and we're good.
Oh my God.
And I literally looked at him. I was like, easiest internship interview ever. And
Awesome.
yeah, we got it. And I was first and foremost, like out of everyone. Ended up having 5 or 6 people internship at the same time because all of them, their stuff fell through, so they're just like, oh Central.
Gosh.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I already asked, and guess what, motherfuckers? I get the football team. Like, you ain't getting it. Like, all of them are like, oh, I hope I get the football team.
Yeah.
I straight up told them, I was like, hey,
That's
I'm gonna
fine.
let you know, I already got it. I asked for this shit 3 months ago, and I told him, I was like, I want the football team, and I want to be with you. And he was like, yeah, you're with me. And I was the only other assistant that wasn't with the football team that wasn't like an intern. The other one was like a GA.
Yeah.
So it was me, a GA, and then Coach Welsh running the football team. And I was sitting there, I'm like, that by far was one of the coolest experiences ever. Being like a D1 strength coach. Like you
Yeah.
get like they didn't hold any bars. Like you're in it. Like you know how to lift, you're in it. Like if someone's doing something wrong, yell at them. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, first 2 months, obviously, I didn't do shit. I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know your name, and you're benching 400 pounds. So I'm good on telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Like, you're good. You got it. But, like, then there's some, like, freshmen, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, they look confused when they lift. They like, you could tell, like, they don't even know what they're doing,
Yeah.
really. So then you just, like, give them one cue, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's the only thing I'm doing wrong? And I'm like, yeah, you weren't even really doing that wrong. You were just looking confused. So I was trying to just get on your good side, quit thinking so much and just fucking pick it up. And it was fun because some of them, I talked to some of them at Evolution, which is the gym I work at now. They would go up and they're like, hey, like, we know you, don't we? And I'm like, yeah, I worked with Coach Welsh and I like worked out with you guys and shit. And he's like, oh, you were one of the interns that we actually liked. And I was like, whoa, why is that? He's like, yeah, you kind of yelled at us sometimes, but like, you just told us what to do. And like, you didn't, and then you walked away. And I was like, yeah, people don't do that. And they're like, no, they keep trying to fucking yell at us. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you don't get it the first time, odds are you're not going to get it the second.
Yeah.
He looked at me, he's like, you are totally right. And he's like, if you try telling us the second time, we're already not listening. And I looked at him, I was like, I'm so glad I was right about that then. And it's also imposter syndrome because I'm sitting there, I've changed myself from tiny to not tiny, which in comparison to high school or college athletes is nothing.
Yeah.
Like these guys know what they're doing, but also, I kind of figured out what I was doing with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And I got pretty decently good at it. And now I'm sitting here helping these guys, and they're like, no, I'll switch one thing, and they'll be like, holy shit, like that was way better. Like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do. Like, you just look at it and you can tell. And it was nuts. Some of them were like, holy shit, like this guy actually does know what he's talking about. I'm like, yes, thank you. Like, I like when people tell me I know what I'm talking about. Like, that's awesome.
I feel like that with teaching sometimes. Like, I'm so, like, obviously these kids are only like 2 and 3 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So it's so, like, weird being, like, their professor, I guess. Next year it's going to be a lot weird because it's just going to be me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be the TA. But, like, I feel like it's just so, I don't want to, like, overstep, you know what I mean? But I also don't want to be, like, their friend.
Yeah.
So
it's being a GM and doing that is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And, like, honestly, if you keep it the same as you always did, from what I found, as long as you're consistent in how you talk, that's literally all you can control.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I'm going to be a dick to one person, if that situation arises again, has to be the same way again.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is. And the vast majority of the time, very, very few people will put you in the situations that you think that you can't handle.
Yeah.
Because, like, those are obviously already, like, scary.
Yeah.
And, like, you don't want to deal with them, but you're also thinking like worst case scenario, and like worst case scenario rarely happens.
Rarely.
Yeah. So like, oh yeah, this guy yells at me in class, and what am I gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Honestly, if anyone yells at you in class, you're the teacher. Just
kick their ass out.
yeah, just be like, you can leave.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to do anything. I could just leave.
Yeah.
like we can do whatever you want to here, guy. This is college. This ain't high school.
Exactly. You're
like,
paying to be here.
yeah, you're paying to be here. I can just walk out if you like. I can send you going, or I can just say, "Hey, class, let's go to the lab." And I'll lock the door real quick on this guy. Like it's People don't realize that, and I've been telling a bunch of people at work recently. Like, I tell Ian all the time too, but like, don't put people on the pedestal that you think they're on.
Yeah.
Like, just like Dan. Like, Dan may be this an amazing guy, but if he goes home, he ain't no amazing guy. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, you got your fucking doctorate? Like, no. Like, other people think of Dan in a different way than you do. So, don't think that your way is, like, correct.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still respect him and do all that, but, like, I don't know. Don't give people the credit they don't deserve, because there's always some shit behind it. There's always some shit you're doing wrong. Like, don't act like you're perfect. We all got weird shit we do. Like, I don't know. We all got weird shit, and don't act like you don't. Your shit does stink. I tell you what.
Oh my God. Everybody farts.
Yeah, everybody farts, people. Kim Jong-un, contrary to belief, does use a toilet. I heard about that the other day. I was like, someone was telling me all the stuff from the interview was actually like things that Kim Jong-un said, and I thought it was just James Franco.
Movie?
Yeah, I thought it was just them being funny, and he's like, no, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, he's
and I was like, that's
brainwashed people.
I was like, that's fucked.
Yeah.
And the fact that you knew to make that a funny movie, perfect.
It's scary though, because now I think Russia is going to be like North Korea, the way that
it's all going down.
Like they're getting like cut off from the world. It's scary.
Send them.
About. I know, but the people over there is just like.
Yeah, that is a thing too, because like, you did see a ton of protests by Russians.
And they all got arrested.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine like being somewhere where you just get arrested just for standing there?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just for holding up a sign?
Yeah. Like they arrested like a 97-year-old woman because she was protesting.
Like what do you do with that? Like if I was that's the other question I had with I forgot who I had. It was someone at work. Mm-hmm. But I was like, how do the people enforcing, because obviously Putin isn't the one sitting there doing all the work.
Yeah.
You know? How do these other people really believe that all this is happening? Like how did he brainwash these guys? And she told me that it was everyone in the army is like a single, don't have family. Like it's it's a certain situation to where it's like, oh, we can control this demographic, let's control it. And it's like, whoa.
And I feel like if you're getting if you're like the only thing you're seeing every day is Russian news media and like them telling you that Ukraine's bad and the U.S. is bad, like you're gonna
put it to
start to like click.
Yeah.
That, oh, maybe they are bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you don't see anything else.
Yeah.
But that's the perks of living in America, I guess. America. And you got people in America that you don't even know who to listen to. Like, we got multiple news stations. It's like, I don't know. The other news station said something different. Maybe that guy's wrong. You don't know. You have no idea anymore what to listen to. I heard a bunch, I obviously listen to Joe Rogan a lot, just because I don't like news, but I like Joe Rogan. And everyone rips on Joe Rogan for all of his, and I'm like, dude, all he does is try to hear everything. Kinda.
It's kind of a whack job.
Yeah, but guess what? Whack jobs are usually the ones that get shit done.
I don't know about that.
Bill Gates?
Okay, don't compare
business?
Bill Gates to Joe
We're talking
Rogan,
business.
please.
Business, though. Business related. I mean, or not. And I mean, not even business. Just like the people that get far in life are the people that kind of obsess over one thing and they get really good at it. I mean, you're not gonna get good at anything unless you're a little crazy.
I guess, but he's a little bit more than a little crazy.
How? What is he crazy about?
He's weird.
Well, yeah, he's weird, but
whack job.
He's weird.
Isn't he the one that said that
horse tranquilizers?
Yeah, wasn't he the one that was doing the horse tranquilizers when he had COVID?
That was the news telling people that he was doing horse tranquilizers.
Wasn't one of them like a video he posted though of him saying that he was taking it?
No.
I think there was.
No.
I think there was.
I'm positive there wasn't.
Because he's like, the doctors have me on intervectin or whatever. Intervectin?
I know what you're trying. It's not that, but it's close. I don't know what the word is. But yeah, ivermectin.
Yeah.
Ivermectin.
I'm pretty sure I saw a video of him saying that, but I could be wrong.
Ivermectin is definitely a thing, but I don't exactly know how it was worded. But someone said it was horse tranquilizers, and I think it's used slightly in that, but I don't think it's actually like the sole purpose of ivermectin is horse tranquilizers. There's other reasons to make it work, and there's other studies that showed this helps. Like after using this, COVID goes down, and like there are no other side effects other than blah blah blah. And so he took it, and he proved other people wrong that it worked. I don't know. I just like listening to him because he does have a lot of other people on there, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, well, and the comedians. Mm-hmm. The comedian ones are always funny. And then
didn't he have Mr. Beast on?
He did. I didn't listen to that one yet.
I didn't either.
But that one would be cool. There was also, the recent one was, I don't know how to say it, but it was like a Buddhist dude. It was like an Indian, and the beard down to here, like the long hair. Yeah, he had one of those dudes on there, and I want to listen to that one, because I don't know what that guy, I want to know what he even sounds like. So, but yeah.
No,
podcasts are fun.
You should look in, have you ever seen like Yes Theory on YouTube?
Yes Theory?
Yeah.
No.
You should, they're like right up your alley. Like,
how so?
Like, their whole thing is like, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like, say yes to things. Like,
so like yes man.
And like
Jim Carrey?
They've like taken strangers on trips to like Europe and shit like that, and like just because they say yes.
Yeah.
And, like at the beginning, like nobody knew who they were, but these people were still saying yes to them, and like they'd have these like huge surprises for them and shit.
They're like,
and,
yeah, sure.
Do stuff like they'll spend like a night alone. Like one of them was that you had to spend a night alone in Thailand without any money or anything, and only rely on like the kindness of strangers, and like none of them spoke the language or anything, but people still let them like stay at their house and stuff. No, you'd like it. It's one of my favorite YouTube channels.
I would just cheat and text Babe. Like, hey, babe,
come get me.
Babe, come get me. I said yes to something, and I don't know what happened.
Now I'm in Thailand with no money.
Yeah. This is the Hangover all over again. But that would, I would like to do that. And when I get in the van, that's kind of what I want to do, in the sense of, what do I want to do? Okay, yes, do it. Go do it.
Yeah.
And like I told Ian, I was like, dude, I want to go live in the desert.
Yeah.
Like, I'll stock that van up, go park in the desert, and be there for a week. You know what I mean? Like, how cool would that be, though? Because, like, no one's telling you anything. I could read, I could practice guitar, I could edit videos, I could make videos, I could hike, I could work out, I could do whatever I want. I could literally do all the things that make me happy in the middle of a desert in my van.
In the middle of a desert.
Yes, I would get like socially like deprived,
Yeah.
but that's why I would just start the van and drive somewhere eventually.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm stuck there. You know what I mean? Because then, I mean, and to think about that, you don't pay gas for a week. You already have your food.
That thing is good. Gas prices are high right now.
Well, yeah.
That's gonna be rough.
I was paying $5 in Cali for a.
Oh yeah, that is.
I mean, it was
California,
200 a tank, and a tank could get me a good 8 hours, 9 hours of straight drive time.
I will say I went to Florida. Like I flew to Florida by myself, and like I got like the car and everything.
Yeah.
It was like so crazy. Like I still can't believe that, because like I've never traveled by myself before.
I'm an adult.
And I still can't believe that like I did that. Like it was so like I got like when I was driving home from Detroit on Tuesday, I was like, well, that was empowering. I was like, I feel like I can do anything now.
I can ride on a plane and rent a car now. I'm impervious. But no, it is true. It is true.
Yeah.
And you sit there, I'll tell you what, you drive that sucker for however many hours. It was 3 weeks, and I guarantee you almost half of it I was driving.
Yeah.
And it was fun as fuck. Like, you drive through Phoenix, okay? Phoenix, there's like 7 lanes. There's 7 lanes. I sit there, I pick the middle one, and I'm there, man. I set my cruise, and you all drive around me. I'm here. I'm just chilling. I roll my window down. I have to crank it down because it's a 2002. Feels, classic, vintage bus. I was talking to someone. I was like, I should get shag carpeting. Really 80s this fucker out. But no, like it's a trip because you never think like you're gonna do these things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, go to California. Oh, how many people have been to California other than the people that live there? I mean, not very many.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I want to go there, and then I drove there.
Exactly, you just do it.
I just do it,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, well, like there were certain parts. This isn't as cool as I thought it would be, but then there was parts that I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this was the whole reason I came here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost hitting Arnold. I almost hit Arnold. Did I ever tell you about that?
No.
I almost hit Arnold with my bus.
Oh my god.
Venice Beach takes you, if you Google Venice Beach on Google Maps, it takes you to the boardwalk. It tells you to drive on the boardwalk. You're not supposed to drive there. It was 7 a.m. We got there super early because I was ready to go. I was ready to be on the beach. And it told me to drive on the boardwalk. I drove on the boardwalk. I turned on it. There's shops to my left. There's sand to my right.
Oh my god.
There's a one-lane road. It's not a road. It's just one lane.
It's a boardwalk.
It's a boardwalk. So I'm driving down that. I get down to the end of it. Shopkeepers are saying hi to me, by the way. I have my window rolled down. I'm driving like 5 miles an hour. I'm driving. So I get to the end of the road. I'm like, okay, so I'm probably not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Odds are, if there's a place to get in, there's a place to get out. And I don't want to back this fucker up. This thing's huge. I don't want to do that. So I keep going, get to the end of the road. I see to the left there's another road to turn on. Yellow cones or orange cones right in front of me. There was like a sewer pipe out, and it was like an 8-foot drop.
Oh my god.
So I'm like, yep, bus can't off-road that. So I turned into this little spot thinking, I turned into it knowing pretty well, like, I don't think this is going to work.
Yeah.
And then I had Jake get out and was like, hey, I'm going to back up, try to turn around. You let me know when I hit something. I literally let my foot off the brake, and he's yelling.
Oh my god.
And I looked at him, I'm like, what are you yelling about? He's like, that's all the room you got. I was like, you fucking idiot. I was like, you know this isn't going to work. So then I backed the rest of the way normal. I had to back up like 400 yards back to where we came in at.
Oh my god.
And all the shopkeepers were like, hi. And I'm like, I looked at one.
Look at this.
Yeah, I looked at one of them. The one of them looked at me dead in the eye and said, hey, hit the construction. And I was like, no, I didn't flip him off, but I was like, you motherfucker. Like, you knew. You knew and you didn't tell me, and you're like at the halfway marker. Like, that would have been way easier.
Asshole.
And so I kept backing up, and there's a couple times where shopkeepers now put out signs on the boardwalk. Guess what? I don't want to hit them.
Yeah.
So I have to like move them because my rear view mirror would, or my mirror would hit them all. So I move them. I open the door. I move it. I stay in the car. I hold the door open.
God.
I'm holding the door open. At this point, I'm like, fuck the mirror. I'll just look. So I'm looking out to my left, down and back, and I'm driving. And I thought to myself, like, weirdly enough, I was like, you know what? If I open this door anymore, and there was someone walking through here, I would smoke them. Like, I would kill him. And I was like, I should probably shut the door. So I shut the door. Immediately, 3 bikes fly by me.
Oh my god.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, what? I was like, good thing I did that.
Yeah.
Like, good thing I didn't open the door right then. And then, right when that happened, my brother yelled. And he was like, hey, dude, that's Arnold. And I was like, wait, what? I looked up, just a big green puffer jacket. Like,
He's just riding
his bike. He rides his bike down Venice Beach every morning. If I would have knew this...
by himself?
He
Or
had
like with 2 other people?
2 other people, yeah.
Oh my god.
So, in my head, I'm thinking, damn, I should open the door. But then I'm thinking, like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
So I Google green puffer jacket, Arnold riding bike on beach. Boom.
Oh my
Picture comes up.
God.
And I'm like, that was fucking Arnold. I almost hit him. And I was like, that was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
And now, if I ever meet Arnold, I can be like, hey, dude, do you remember one time that there was this massive bus on the boardwalk where you were riding your bike? And if he ever said yes, I would be like, oh, yes. Like,
Yep, that
this
was
is
me.
it. This
That
is
was me.
claim to fame. Claim to fame. I'm not famous because I almost killed Arnold. But yeah, that was, like, that wouldn't have happened if Google Maps, thanks Google.
Thank God Google Maps.
But no, that was like one of the best stories the whole time. I was
Yeah.
like, this is amazing. Another girl, I was reading on the beach that night. was reading. I had a lawn chair and my coffee dug into the sand.
God.
I was out on the beach just reading, and the book I was reading was Malcolm Gladwell, Talking to Strangers. And the book is relatively big.
Yeah.
And this girl comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, how are you? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm sitting here like, we're talking. We have like a 30-minute conversation about like how I'm on a beach at 10 a.m. in the morning reading.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here? Like, you look like a weirdo. And the only reason she came up and talked to me was because the book she clearly read Talking to Strangers.
God.
And I was like, that's awesome. Like, that would be the reason that this chick comes up and talks to me. But, yeah, just those are the little stories that were amazing.
Yeah.
And that makes you want to go out and live it again. Like Vegas, same
Yeah.
way. Colorado, same way. You just meet people. Colorado, so many people bring their dogs to restaurants. It's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Like, they're all outdoor because it was post-COVID.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm shitting you not. There's, like, 4 dogs. And they're all sitting. I'm just petting dogs while eating at a chili cook-off. Jake bought me a beer. I got 2 dogs with me. I'm petting them. I'm like,
Living the
yeah.
dream.
And their owners are sitting there like, yeah, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You just stay.
Just watch
stay
him.
there. I'm sitting there. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Got you. Like, this dog will not leave my side. It might be in my lap. And they're like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay.
Go for it.
Yeah. You know, it's awesome. I was like, you people are nice. Oh, but yeah, that will get me back out on the road.
Yeah.
4 years time.
4 years?
That's the plan. I'm hoping to
You're
have
not
everything.
gonna go anywhere before then?
I mean, I might, but it's not going to be like. I don't want to spend money.
long-ass trip,
I don't want to spend money that's going to slow down the main adventure. Because the main adventure, I want to make it full time and be done.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm out. I can make enough money on the road to where I don't need to come back. So, that's the plan.
Makes sense.
That's the plan. And then you're going to be a professor,
Yeah. Hopefully.
chilling,
That's the plan.
chilling.
Hope so.
And then we're going to be doing another podcast in like 5 years, and I'll be
Yeah.
famous, and it'll be all my OG podcasters, all the ones that no one listened to.
I'll be like, I'm back.
Yeah.
Listen to the podcast from March 16th, 2022.
What time is it?
It is 6:31 p.m.
6:31.
Yep.
Okay. 6:31. What did you say? 2022?
Yep.
2026. Let's do that one. 4
6?
years. Yeah.
No, I thought you said 5.
5 years, 4 years. 4 years, because
years.
then it'll be the start of a new.
All right.
It'll be good.
All right.
But that was fun.
I'll be in my doctorate program.
Yeah. Dr. Eaton.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Go back to those English teachers
Be
then.
like, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm a doctor now. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, God.
Well, I think we'll end it on that. My guess is that was probably at least 2 hours.
At least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. I think this is, I don't know anymore. I got to check. It's either number 20 or 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's one of those two. I don't know for sure. But either way,
You have that many posted?
no.
Oh, I was gonna say.
No. I got 12.
Okay.
12 posted, I'm pretty sure. 11 maybe on YouTube, 12 on Spotify. But yeah, we're getting to the number 19. Well, the other professor would be like number 15, I think, 15, 16.
Okay.
And then I got the people I met on the road, they were 19. They were cool. There's an artist, a 19-year-old artist. She does murals. She has the same van as I do. It was awesome. It was so cool. And then who else? Who else was number 20? Brandon, the one I did yesterday. But now they got to start dominoing. I need more people.
Yeah.
So if anyone hears this, not that this is going to be posted in a while,
Do Nate's
but
podcast.
Do Nate's podcast. Currently in progress. Brought to you by me. And hopefully you all enjoyed it.
Woo!